All right, cool. All right, y'all. The YouTubes are now live. All right, cool. We are now live on YouTube. Like I said, if you would like to discuss what I have on the board, don't be shy. Go ahead and come on up. Like the live, share it. I appreciate y'all for being here. Shout out to you wherever you watch me from. I see someone over on the YouTube already. Professor, how's it going, bro? How's it going, Professor? I appreciate you for being here. Once again, I appreciate anybody who would like to have a conversation. Ooh. Over here is on private. Let me change this up real quick. Let me just change this up real quick. Give me 1 sec. Change this up real quick. It should be public. I'm not sure why it was on private. All right. How's it going, the Great? I see people are coming in already. All right. So I do have some requests. We're going to go ahead and bring those people up to the board. And we have someone over on the YouTube as well. Dan, give me a few seconds on the YouTube, all right? I got someone on the TikTok, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk.
What's up, man?
How's it going? Give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and talk to the TikTok real quick, Dan, man, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring you up, all right? All right, so we're going to talk to first. I think Chud was first. Chud,
Yes,
how's it going? Are you at least 18? Am I right?
Yes, I am. I'm 20 years old.
Great. And did you disagree with what I have on the board? I mean, I disagree, but do you think you give me a reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, because, for example, I'm a neo-libertarian phalangist, and the reason as towards why I believe in a God is because it's inherent to the ideas of phalangism.
I have no idea what phalangism is.
It's a type of national syndicalism.
What does that to do with believing in a God, though?
Because in order to achieve a society that has good morals and is ultimately neo-libertarian phalangist, you have to embrace neo-libertarian phalangism, and you also have to embrace believing in a God.
That doesn't really tell me anything.
Yeah, it does, because you can look up the neo-libertarian, because, like, for example, everyone smart in the world was actually a neo-libertarian phalangist. Like Karl Marx, he described himself as a neo-libertarian phalangist, right? And so I think everyone, because so many smart people were neo-libertarian phalangists, everyone should be a neo-libertarian phalangist.
There were smart people who believed that Zeus was real. That doesn't mean that we should believe in Zeus. That doesn't tell me anything.
That's because they weren't smart.
I don't know. I think people like Aristotle were pretty smart, right?
Well, no, because Aristotle, well, actually, yeah, he was, because he was a neo-libertarian phalangist too.
Libertarian didn't exist before. All right,
no, neo-libertarian phalangist.
All righty, we're gonna go ahead and move on. I think that guy was trolling. All right, Trinity, how's it going, Trinity? Are you at least 18? And do you think you give me a reason to believe in a God?
Yes, I am, Volchi. Obviously, the first thing that one needs to make sense of before we can address the nature of the God that a lot of these people believe in, we got to ask ourselves the question, is there a mind behind the formation of this universe and human beings or not, right? Some people would say it's an evolutionary process, and some would say that there's an actual mind behind the process of the creation of human beings. So the thing is, I'm married to a nurse, right? And she was pointing out to me where my pancreas is, where's my stomach, the heart, and stuff like that, lungs and things of that nature. So for me personally, I look at my pancreas and I say, is that is that something that came about by chance? Something that obviously has a very specific function in our body, very crucial part of our makeup? Or is this something that was intended to be, So I land on the side of, it seems to me that the pancreas and the lungs and the liver and the intestines, these things was intentionally brought about. And you can't have intention without a mind, and therefore it leads me to conclude that there's a mind behind the formation of human beings. Now, I could be wrong, and whatever the case may be, but that's just the side that I land on, and that's what's persuasive for me.
All right, the question then becomes, why do you believe that, and why should anybody accept that?
Yeah, because anything that has a function, and anything that has intentionality behind it has a mind behind it. And this is just a logical, thing for me.
How do you show that our bodies have any type of intention at all?
Yeah, because does your lungs have a function?
Say that again.
Does your lungs have a function?
Yeah, things can have function, but not necessarily need intention.
Okay, so you're saying that something can have a function, but it cannot. It can also not be the case that it was intended for it to have a function.
Correct.
So you're saying that if the lungs didn't have, the functions that it has, and it had something completely different, we would still be able to have life as we know it.
What do you mean? What does that mean? So something
No,
can
I'm
have
saying,
function, but that doesn't mean that it has an intention just because it has a function.
okay, so
Like
name me
rain,
one thing that.
rain has a function, but that doesn't mean that rain was intended.
Okay, so you're saying that we could survive without rain?
I'm not saying that we could survive. It's not about survivability. You're claiming that just because something has a function, that means it was intended for that function. There's intentionality behind it, but that's an error. You're that's a non sequitur. Just because something has a function doesn't mean that it has a deliberate intention behind it.
Yeah, but you would also appreciate somebody who lands on the side of, hang on a second, rain does have a function, and because we have rain, we have survivability on the planet, and therefore maybe the intention behind rain was for us to be able to survive on this planet.
That's the problem. You're assuming an intention. There's no reason to assume.
But
that.
you're assuming non-intention.
I'm not assuming non-intention. I'm not assuming there is no intention. What I'm saying is that we don't have the information to say that there is one.
But surely you do understand the utility behind rain, correct?
Of course.
You do understand that if we did not have rain,
we wouldn't survive. Yes, of course, I understand that, but that doesn't mean that it has intention. You have to show that you have to show that there's something to have intention first. How do you show that?
Well, the way that I would show that, like I've done before, is to simply point out that anything that has a function, and I'm not talking necessarily about rain, or rocks, whatever, even though people can argue for the firmament and things of that nature. But I am speaking about the human experience per se. Now, when I look at the eye and when I look at the lung and I look at the pancreas, I understand that these things have particular functions that are exclusive to, whatever it is, right? And it seems to me that when I'm trying to design something, I know I have many different parts that has many different roles, and I intended for those parts to have things that way. Now, for your position, you're saying, oh, no, that's the case in everything that we design. However, it's not the case in our bodies.
But that's the problem. You're assuming a design, and you have no reason to assume that.
It's not assumption. It's a logical deduction. And here's the thing that I wanted to make clear, right?
But it's not a logical deduction. What I'm saying is that it's not a logical deduction. You're simply saying things are designed. How do you actually show that? You need to actually show that there's a design first. You just can't assume things are designed.
Because the only way that I can conclude that anything is designed is if that thing that I am observing has a function, and then it has an intentionality or a use.
But just again, just because something has a function doesn't mean it has intention.
So what has a function?
You're making too
many. So what has a
assumptions
function that hasn't got an intention?
The sun.
So the function has the sun has a function that was not intended for it to be the case.
I'm saying we can't assume an intention. You're simply assuming one.
No. Obviously, the sun is there, but you do understand that without the sun,
we won't survive. Right, exactly.
Now, what if
that does not mean? Hold on, wait. What I'm saying is that yes, without the sun, we would not survive on this planet. I'm saying that just because if that's the case, doesn't mean that the sun has an intentionality behind it. What I'm saying is that you're making a leap with no evidence behind it. You're saying, it has this function, it gives us warmth, therefore it was intended to give us warmth. There's no reason to assume that.
No. That's not what I'm saying, right? The reason why I started with, this argumentation is because before we can get to the nature of the bearded man in the sky or anything like that, we have to understand the first thing is there a mind? And if there is a mind, I'm not saying there is or there isn't, but I'm saying if there is a mind behind the formation of the universe, then this mind would have intended for the things that we observe to be the way that it is in order for life itself to be able to exist.
I know that.
How do I know? Because we have life. Just because we have life. Because we have a sun.
Right. Just because we have life, just because we have the sun, doesn't mean that there necessarily has to be an intention. Doesn't mean it necessarily have to be a design. Doesn't mean it necessarily have to be someone who created everything. It doesn't mean any of that. You're making
Of course it
assumptions.
does.
No, it doesn't.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't.
The sun has a function.
That doesn't mean
without
it
the
has
sun-
a design or an intention. It doesn't mean that.
So then where did it come about?
We know that
How
stars
did our
are.
eyesight come about?
We know
Volchi?
we evolve our eyes.
We evolve our eyes.
Aren't you in the medical field? I think that's
Yes,
what you said
I
in the
am.
beginning. All right, so if you're in the medical field, that means you took biology.
Okay, so here's the problem. What's your proof that we evolved our eyesight?
Bro, you're in the medical field.
No. What's your proof that we evolved our eyesight?
Like you have to like I can't give you that that proof.
Exactly.
You say,
So don't call my position wrong.
Hold on.
When you can't
Hold
justify
on,
your own
hold on.
position as well.
Are you saying that there's no evidence of evolution?
No. We're not talking about evidence for evolution.
Okay,
We're talking
so-
about eyesight.
I
And
know,
we're talking
so
about evidence that we evolved our eyesight.
Yes, we
right?
evolved our eyesight because you know evolution is
What's your proof for this? What's your
evolution.
evidence for that?
Evolution.
Evolution. So if I say God, then that's the same thing,
It's
right?
not the same thing because evolution
Yes,
has
it is the same
no,
thing. You're making a truth claim without actually substantiating.
Trinity, listen. Evolution has evidence behind it. You understand that, right? Because you're in the medical field. You know about genetics.
Very, very weak evidence.
Trinity, hold on. You're in the medical field, right? So you know about genetics.
Yeah, the reason why.
Okay, hold on. You know about genetics. You know about phylogenetics. You know about biology. Are you saying that none of these are lines of evidence for evolution?
I'm saying that is the clearest sign that there is a God, because we have these properties inside of us that gives us the ability to be able to, see
All
and
right.
things of
All
that
right,
nature. But we didn't evolve our eyesight.
All right. So how do you prove that we didn't evolve our eyesight? Because multiple papers are out there about how we evolved our eyesight. Because
Okay, how did we evolve our eyesight?
Hold on. I'm not an evolutionary biologist. So if you're asking me about
now you're running away.
I'm not running away, Trinity. What I'm saying is that I don't have the expertise to tell you that.
Exactly. So the thing is, you cannot call my position, because this is what I said, right, Volchi? I'm not saying I'm right in what I believe. I'm just saying that the things that I believe is persuasive enough for me personally to believe
It's not persuasive enough for me at all. Because what I'm saying is,
the thing. Your position isn't persuasive enough for me as well.
Trinity. You're saying that my position is not persuasive enough for you, but your entire profession depends on evolution. Your entire profession.
No, it doesn't.
No, yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Trinity, hold on, Trinity.
It doesn't depend on evolution.
Wait, listen. How exactly do you get medicine without genetics?
How do you get medicine without genetics?
Yeah.
How do you get medicine with genetics?
Trinity. There are some form, like for example, I'm an African, I'm black, right? So I'm African descent, which means I have a higher chance of getting sickle cell. That's in our genetics, right? And there's there's medication for sickle cell, right?
That's correct.
So in order for you to get medicine, you need to understand people's genetics, don't you?
You need to understand the genetics. That's correct.
Okay, so you
evolutionary thing. This is just a genetic.
Genetics proves evolution. What are you saying?
Genetics proves evolution. What do you mean genetics proves evolution?
Have you ever you heard of chromosome?
Genetics is just code.
You heard of
genetics
chromosome?
Is code, right?
I'm explaining to you. You heard of chromosome 2, haven't you?
Yeah.
Is chromosome 2 fused in any other species of animal on the planet?
I don't think so. No.
It's fused in chimpanzees. You're wrong.
Looking like a black nutsack, looking like a cocoa puff.
All right, and your mama loves it. And your mama loves it. So, like, chromosome 2 is fused in chimpanzees as well. So you're just wrong. How did you get through medical school without knowing that?
Okay, Volchi, you know what you're telling me?
Hold on, Trinity. How did you get through medical school? Hold on, Trinity. How did you get through medical school? Hold on, Trinity. Hold on, Trinity.
Do you know what?
Hold on. How'd you get through medical school? How did you get? Hold on. How did you get through medical school without knowing that chromosome 2 is fused in chimpanzees?
Yeah. So
how'd you get through medical school? That proves evolution, my guy.
It doesn't prove evolution at all. It proves a common designer.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to Dan. Because I don't have any time for that. Hold on. What's your name again? How do I say your name? The person that's up on my TikTok.
You can just say Justin.
All right, Justin, hold on for me, okay? Because I have another person on my StreamYard. Dan, are you there, Dan? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Dan. Are you at least 18? And do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, some 20, and I don't think I can convince you personally to convince. Well, I can't convince you personally to believe in God, but however, I can give you the reason why I believe, and if you think it's a good reason, then go ahead and tell me. So, in my belief, a strong reason to believe in God is that without God, some of the most fundamental things that we rely on become difficult to justify, like
Like what?
objectively. Things like logic, objective morality, human value, and even the existence of the universe itself.
We can
Those
do
things
all
are
those.
not
I
really
believe in a
explained.
God.
You think so?
Yeah, there are now there are people who do say that you can have objective morals without a God. I don't know how to do that because I'm not going to argue about it, but I do know there are arguments on that, right? You have to speak to those of the philosophers, but personally, I think morals are subjective. Even if your God were to exist, it will still be subjective.
I mean, in a way you're talking, I guess that does make sense, but I don't believe objective morality kind of exists outside of God, right? You can't really have an 100% truthful morality because one person will think swearing is bad, but then another person will think it's just fine. You know, you're fine to swear, and another person will think, "Hey, it's great to smoke." The other guy will say, "No, it's terrible."
It's terrible smoke. Exactly.
Right?
So morals are subjective, even if your God were to exist, because if all morals depend on whatever your God says or wants or what it is, then that means that all morals are subject to that God, which makes morality subjective, even if your God does exist.
Would you say morality can kind of contribute to a good God? So if I were to have a God that has good morals, you know, kind of represents morals that everyone can follow, like, you know, you shouldn't unalive someone, you shouldn't hurt people for no reason, like these type of morals that, you know, most people have universally. Would
Yeah,
that
of
make you
course.
follow a God? Would
No,
that
you
make
want
you
to
follow that God?
make not necessarily. I will have to see what's a good reason to follow him besides that.
Okay, so good reasons to follow God. I mean, there are many, but there's also many reasons why people don't follow God. Is because it doesn't align with their morality. That's what I've heard from many other, let's say, agnostics or atheists, that it just doesn't align with what they believe, right? Like people that are feminists, right? They believe that abortion is their right because it's their body, but God speaks directly against it when it says "Thou shalt not kill." So they cannot really like believe other than, you know, going against their own morality.
God kills people all the time, though.
With a punishment, sure. In the
No,
Old Testament, it speaks a lot about it.
yeah, in the Old Testament, I'm talking about he kills people for no reason all the time,
All the time, as in like right
or at
now.
least demands it.
Are you talking about the as in what it says in the Bible, or are you speaking about like current times now?
What it says in the Bible? Because current times
can you
now,
read?
there's no way to show a God even is even real. So yeah, so like what it says in the Bible, yeah, like God has commanded genocide and stuff like that.
Well, okay. Do you know the context behind what he has ordered?
Yeah,
Or do you just like know
the Israelites were conquering the Canaan, basically.
I'd say so. I'd read it first. I'd read every context around it, but I wouldn't say it would be genocide.
What
I mean,
context
in
do we
description,
need? What context do we need when he told them to go into Jericho and wipe out everybody and all the children and stuff like that? What context do we need for that?
well, the same context how there was also another raid that happened because God ordered it because the people were sacrificing their born children to, you know, demons, right? So I think that's
We don't know if
very
that's true, though.
allowed. No, I believe that the Bible is objective, so I believe it. You don't have to, right?
I mean, that's fine if you believe it. What I'm saying is that when we look into the history of these people, that wasn't happening.
Right, sure. I mean, we can take that standpoint, but like I said, right, there are many reasons why people got wiped out in the Old Testament and the New Testament, right? So let's speak of it now, right? This is not my argument or anything, and I'm not trying to go anywhere near this, but it was brought up, so might as well go for it, right? In the Old Testament, the people, the Canaanites and, you know, other tribes were, you know, sacrificing their babies. Do you think sacrificing your child, your newborn child, is a moral thing to do?
No. But my question is, what is the evidence that we have that they were actually doing that?
Evidence, other than scriptures saying wise, we don't have picture-wise evidence. If that's what you're looking for,
I mean, do we
that
have?
is documentation.
We could have archaeological evidence as well. Like, but when we look into archaeology, we don't have any evidence that was happening. So it's
The
something
same way how
because the thing is, what we know about the Bible as well is that it's very very literary. So that means it's like it's written in a literary genre, right? These are like stories being told. So if you look at it in that way, all this was probably just propaganda against their enemies. Like how we say that Iran and Cuba are like the worst places to be, and then you go to over to those places and it's not like what the books say, right? So all that could just be propaganda. How do we know that it's propaganda and what was the truth?
I mean, think about it. You could say, yes, it could have been propaganda in a way, right? From your perspective, like not believing in God and the Bible being objectively true. Yes, it could have been propaganda for, don't become a Canaanite, don't become an Israelite, because they do these type of things.
Mhm.
But let's think about it this way, right? If I take a sharp object, I'm not going to be very explicit because it's night and people just, I'm not trying to be explicit. You take a sharp object and you point it at someone and you say, it's either you do this or I do this to you, right? Or otherwise, in another situation, you're a little child and you can't verbally consent to anything I'm trying to get you to do.
Mhm.
But I'm going to do it anyway because, my God demands so, right?
Mhm.
See, that's what the Canaanites were doing, right? And maybe, in another way, it could have been propaganda to not become a Canaanite because it was maybe a contest or so, right? But it still wasn't morally right, even if it was true, or even if it was false. It wouldn't be morally right to use it as propaganda either.
Right.
So
But yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be moral right to use as propaganda. So what we're seeing in the Bible is that if these verses against the Amalekites are just propaganda, then that means the Bible is just lying on these people and it was just propaganda to take their land. So why would I even take that into consideration? Now, let's say we give it to you that these people were sacrificing their babies, right? Like and maybe that's wrong or et cetera, et cetera. Does that ever happen in the Bible too? Like with the Israelites?
yeah, well, the Israelites don't actually sacrifice to, especially not kids, right? They'll sacrifice like sheep, right, for their sins back in the Old Testament before
How do you
Jesus
explain
Christ paid for their sins.
how you explain Jephthah?
Explain what?
Jephthah.
Jephthah. Where is that in the Bible? I'm
Jephthah
not
is in
too.
is in Judges, where he sacrificed his daughter to Yahweh for helping him win a battle.
Okay. I'll read up more up on that because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm an honest person. I've not seen or read of about it. So if I ever, read about it and I ever come across your live again and the topic happens to come up, I'll share about it and what I think about it. But I cannot, give insight about that because I'm an honest person. But anyway, going back to my main argument, and because we kind of branched off, I was going to say if reality is ultimately just matter, and a blind process without God, right?
Mhm.
Then I think morality becomes just a subjective preference, or even social conditioning, right? But
That's
most people
no, I was gonna say
go on.
that's basically what it is, even if your God were to exist. But like why would you say that it's not? What makes morality objective? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like like from me where I'm standing, like is morality are things moral because God says so, or it's more whatever whether or not God says anything or not? Like which one is it?
Well, from what I like to think is the truth is how God presents it, right?
Mhm.
You look at God and think He's all powerful, all knowing, all loving, right? So He must know the truth, and He only wants the best for you. So you must understand that. Well, His morals must also come from a place of light, a place of love, right? Not just a place of punishment where he'd want to punish you, where he hates you. He's not, he's not some kind of psychopath who just enjoys your pain, who wants you to have the worst type of morals there is. So that's what I think about the objective morality of God. That can be, kind of shone upon other people if, transformed by the love of Christ. But, yeah, going back to the point I was trying to make about social conditioning and stuff.
I mean, I'm
People,
not sure
I
if that
think,
really tells me anything, bro. I'm to tell you the truth.
I mean,
I'm sorry. Can you give me a second? I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
okay. Explaining objective morality is hard. I'm not even gonna lie.
Hey, y'all, apologies, y'all. Sorry, I had to plug my laptop and it was losing battery. And I guess I added it over too late. Someone came up and they dropped. I guess I added them too late, but no worries. All right, we're gonna keep going. Anderson, I'm gonna get to you right now, right after Dan, but there is someone in front of you. All right, Anderson, I'll get to you in a second. All right, so let's go with the first thing you were saying, that God is all loving and he wants the best for us. Let me ask you, is God is merciful, correct?
Yeah. I'd say so. Yeah. From what I've seen.
How do we explain hell?
How do we explain how? Well, how Christians tend to, say hell is. This is the best way I can actually explain it. How do Christians, explain hell? Well, it's kind of like a separation, right? And I get it. The word hell is scary, right? I can say hell is just a separation from God. It's like the feeling of the missing presence of God. So God is love, God is peace, God is everything you feel when you're not hurting, right? That's what God is, right? God isn't just a personal being, he's also feelings. So the feelings you feel now, like peace, happiness, love, he's all that. So the absence of him would be the description.
Gotcha. Can I feel peace and happiness without believing in a God?
That's still possible because God is still around you. Yes.
Okay, cool. So God is everywhere?
Yes.
So
he is
God's
omnipresent.
In hell?
He would limit himself to not be in hell. To be out of that presence.
So he's not everywhere.
That's not saying he's not everywhere. That's him saying, I'm going to limit where I want to be because he doesn't want to be near the people that don't want to be near him.
So he's not everywhere.
That's not saying he's not everywhere. That's him saying that the same way how you can't say, oh yeah, I don't like these group of people. I'm going to, be around, but I'm not going to be near them. Right. I'll be all around the place, but I'm just not going to be there because they didn't want to be with me. So why would I want to be next to them? Right.
But I'm not omnipresent. I can't be everywhere all at once.
No, I'm not saying everywhere at once. I'm saying, let's say a social group, right? Or maybe even a meetup in a mall, right? You go to a mall, you're in the same place initially, right? Initially, you're in the same place. However, you're limiting yourself to not go to that place. Like, now I'm not going to go where they are because I don't like them. They don't like me.
Okay,
they don't want to be near me.
So let me just understand this. So basically, it's like a mall, and heaven is basically the AMC movie theaters, and hell is the food court.
Let's say false analogy, but you could use that analogy. But yes,
Okay.
in this sequence, what I've just given you, yeah, you could say.
Okay. So
a way.
All right. So everybody's going to go to the AMC movie theaters, and there's going to be some people who's going to be in the food court. Now, the mall, is the mall all reality, or is the mall actually God?
The mall could be preserved as, like, in your perspective, it could be the universe, it could be God, right? But like I said, this analogy is not an equivalence to God, so I'm not gonna say
you brought it up. So let's go ahead and go. I mean, you brought it up. So let's go something else. All right. So let me try to understand. So God is everywhere, but he's not everywhere because he's not in hell. So he can't be everywhere, or he limits himself from being in hell. All right. So is hell a place of torture and gnashing of the teeth and everything like that? Or I'm just sitting there bored as shit because I'm not near God?
That's debatable, right? Many Christians believe it is actually a fiery pain. Some Christians would believe.
What do you say?
It's I believe personally that it's not like actual punishment, as in, hey, you didn't believe in me, so you are punished for the rest of eternity. The feelings that are described in the Bible are very open to interpretation, which I believe is the absence of God. So the absence of God would be that like terrible feeling, where you feel like you're burning, or because you're not in a place where you should be. You should be in the presence of God, right? Because that's who made you. And if you're not in the presence of God, you're somewhere where you don't belong.
Okay,
I don't know if you felt like this.
No. So let me understand. So hell is basically we're all like in a room with uncomfortable chairs, and we're all kind of just bored as shit, and we have like shin splints, I'm guessing, or a stomach ache. Like I'm trying to understand like what's, because if it's not the fiery place of torture, okay, cool, fine, because that sounds like that sounds horrible, right? I'm not sure why an all merciful God will have something like that. But if it's just a place where we're not in his presence, and because of that we're all bored as shit and we just gotta do push-ups for all eternity, I mean, I guess. I mean, that's not that bad.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So no, it's not. So yeah, it's very open to interpretation. It's not. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly like that, because everyone interprets it differently, and I don't know, because I'm not God. I can't tell you 1,000,000,000% that it's going to be this, because every part of the Bible is open to interpretation. Everyone can interpret it differently. It's just depending on the Christian that you decide to follow and decide to understand. You use his understanding is what you'll understand, right? And
well,
the way I like to interpret it,
we are basically just out of time, so I do gotta go ahead and move on to the next person. So, did you want to go ahead and say one last thing?
No problem. I just want to say, if anyone's out there, just wondering, give yourself a chance to,
All right. Justin, how's it going, Justin? Are you at least 18? And did you disagree with what I mean, do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I'm 18. Well, older than 18. And I'm not gonna I'll give you a reason, but I just want to like ask a few. I just want to say a few things like clarification wise.
I got you. Can you give me just 1 second? All right, guys. I do appreciate everybody being here. Anderson, who's still up on the StreamYard, I'm going to bring you up in a second. Okay, I didn't forget about you. Just give me a few moments. All right, Anderson. Shout out to everybody at Deconstruction Junction. Thank you so much for watching me. Y'all wonderful. Go ahead and keep the conversation going. If you're watching me over on the Volcy Thoughts, I appreciate you watching me from there. Appreciate the $5 super chat from Professor. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Professor says, intention is a mental state which requires a mind with agency. Can call provide evidence for rain having mind and agency? Yes. Yeah, I mean, I already moved on from that person, but that's exactly what I was trying to get at. I mean, attention requires agency, and how do you show that without, how do you actually show that? I mean, there's no way to do that. But thank you so much for the $5 super chat. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get back to it. Anderson, you should be able to hear me now again. Sorry about that. My microphone unplugged for a second. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get back to it. Justin, how's it going? You said that you are 18, and you think you could give me a reason. Let me put the time on the clock again, and we can go ahead and talk about that. What's the reason in your opinion?
Yeah, can I just like ask a few like clarification questions so I can like proceed?
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Do you hold that there is like, regardless of worldview, there is nobody that is like truly neutral in the world?
There's nobody that's truly neutral.
Yeah,
that's an interesting question. I've never been asked that, but from a gut reaction, I would say no. I don't think there's anyone that's truly neutral. Now that doesn't mean that there can't be anybody that's truly neutral. I just never ran into it. In my experience, I don't think anybody can be.
Okay, yeah, I was just going off because a lot of atheists kind of have this like misconception that like they're the default because they assume that babies are born atheists, but it's just like a myth that we kind of have to move past. But I was just asking if you think that like you're the default.
Are you saying that is my position like not believing in a God a default? I think it is because babies don't have the capacity to understand that stuff yet, right? They have to kind of grow until like they're like maybe 3 or 4 years old. And as far as what we've seen, children like toddlers that are raised by atheist parents, they also grow up. Typically, a lot of them grow up not believing either. I mean, from the time that they're 3, 4, 5 years old, it's just not in their purview. Now they do have imaginary friends, and they may even be fascinated by magic and wizards and stuff like that. But a God belief, from what we've seen from those kids, they don't have one either. It just depends on who you're raised with.
I was just trying to like just establish because I'm saying that nobody's born an atheist because like typically they'll try and say that, oh, well, technically they are because they lack the belief, but it's like, you can't lack the belief in something you cannot conceptualize. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I agree with that. They can't conceptualize.
Okay, yeah. So so therefore, like, yeah, nobody's neutral and nobody's the default. So like, I want to proceed by saying, like, so that means you have a worldview and I have a worldview, and yeah, everyone has a worldview. So do you agree that a worldview can be, do you think that a worldview can be valid if it has a contradiction inside of it? Even if it's performative contradiction?
That depends. I would say that highly depends. Because politics has contradictions within it, right?
Yeah, but like if you hold to a worldview, like I'm not going to say that it needs to be airtight, but I don't think that it should have a contradiction with like inside of it.
Yeah, that's why I said it depends, because it depends on what we're talking about. Like for example, you ever heard of the paradox of tolerance?
No, I'm talking about the atheistic worldview. I'm establishing worldview so we can like proceed with argument.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying. That's why I said it depends. It depends on what we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the atheistic worldview.
All right. You said, can it be validated if it has contradictions?
Or even if it begins with a performative contradiction.
Depends with a performative contradiction. I'm not sure how do we establish that in the first place? Because again, like I'm saying, it really depends. It depends on what we're talking about. When it comes to the atheistic worldview, I'm not sure if that even is a worldview. Our position is just that I don't see evidence that a God exists, so I'm not going to believe in one until evidence comes by. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure where the contradiction is there. Because even you would, even you are like that, right? Because it's like until I give you evidence that I'm a billionaire, you're not gonna believe me that I'm a billionaire just because I say so, right?
Yeah, no, but like the thing is that like there's two definitions, I guess. There's the positive atheist that claims that there is no God, and there's one that simply just lacks the belief of it.
I like the belief. That's my position. Okay,
so that's the one that you are. Okay, so with that, would you agree that would you agree that the universe is entirely mindless, indifferent matter? That like doesn't intend for anything.
Yeah, we don't have any evidence of that yet. I don't see any evidence that the universe is intentional or has a mind or anything like that.
So are you holding to any actual claim, or are you just like, do you just want like, what do you mean? I'm confused. Like I'm confused on your stance.
What are you confused about? I don't see any intention to the universe, so I don't believe the universe has intention.
Okay, so you don't like, or is that like a truth claim, or are you just like, or is that just what you like believe as of right now?
That's what I believe as of right now, until evidence comes by that us being conscious. I'm talking about the universe of itself, like planets or gravity or space-time, has some sort of intentionality or consciousness. Until that time comes, I'm not going to believe that.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel like at that point, it's kind of just like personal and like valid evidence, but it's okay. I'll move on. Yeah. So in terms of like, so right now you believe that like universe is indifferent and just matter and motion and stuff like that, like no purpose, no nothing like that.
Essentially.
Okay. So, sorry, 1 second. So you would kind of say that you're like naturalist, right?
You said, am I a naturalist? I would say, yeah, at the moment.
Okay. So you believe that like our brains were, I guess not exactly designed, but I guess intended for survival purposes, no?
Our brain was intended for survival purposes. I would say they evolved that way, yeah.
Okay. So it's like if they were like intended for survival and all that, then like how could you trust it for truth if it was intended for survival? Like those are two entirely different things.
Yeah, so
and this is a real thing. Like, yeah, it's like I don't know if you've heard of the evolutionary argument against naturalism by Alvin Plantinga or not. I don't know.
Yeah, Alvin Panicek, I don't think he actually understands evolution, but yeah, when it comes to like survival and truth, yeah, those are two different things, right? So you're saying if it's built for survival, how can we trust it to tell us the truth all the time? We can't.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
why we have to that's why we just don't go off of like our own personal experience. We test for these things, right? We have to we form processes in order to test what we're saying is the veracity of our claims or what we're saying or our beliefs.
Yeah, so you're so like if you can't necessarily trust it for truth, then like why should I trust anything you're saying right now? Why would it ever hold objective value? And if there's no objective truth, then it's like, you know, like I feel like it kind of crumbles right there, because if you can't really account for anything objectively true, then how am I supposed to trust that? How am I supposed to trust you when you assert that there is no God, or that?
Well, I don't assert that there's no God. That's the first thing. But when it comes to how do you trust me on anything, that's you're kind of basically going into solipsism, because no one can prove we exist outside our own mind, right? We just kind of accept it as a part of reality that we're interacting with someone else through our sense data, so they must exist.
No, like I see what you mean. I'm not really I'm not advocating for solipsism, because like that's like kind of the whole thing where it's like, oh, nobody can prove that there are any minds other than them.
Mm-hmm.
Like neither of us hold that worldview. So like I feel like that's kind of just out of the question.
Right. So when you said how can you trust anything that I'm saying, that really depends on what I'm saying. If I'm telling you that I'm a billionaire, you probably shouldn't trust that. But if I told you that I'm a billionaire and I show you my stock portfolio and it has 9 zeros,
okay,
yeah, maybe that's more information for you to trust that I'm a billionaire.
Yeah, but my thing is that like I'm kind of arguing on like a epistemological like level right now, where it's like, even if you told me you weren't a billionaire, or you told me a billionaire, any statement that you say, I don't necessarily have to trust it if your brain, or like if you cannot account for truth within your worldview. That's the thing. If everything is just
truth in my worldview, because truth is, in my opinion, is what comports to reality, right? So if within reality I have a stock portfolio that has 9 zeros, then in reality I'm a billionaire, because that's how we define billionaires.
I guess on like then you would be objectively a billionaire if your bank account matches like what you're saying.
I'll be a billionaire, because that's how we define what a billionaire is. So that's how we account for truth without any spiritual stuff through
but
evidence,
that's more like a material thing. Like we're talking about like the existence of God and the origins of the universe. I think like
when it comes to the origins of the universe, it's
a lot different.
Yeah, when it comes to the origin of the universe, what we have is the evidence that we see, you know, cosmic microwave background radiation, things like that, etc. You know, redshifting of galaxies, those type of things, right?
Yeah,
so when it gets to a point where, you know, we get to the singularity, you know, the hot dense state, where our physics and math can't really comprehend what's happening there, but we know everything, because we can, from what we can account for, everything expanded from that point. Yeah, I mean, so before that, or what even that is, we can't tell at this point. That's the basically, it's not a hard stop, but we're trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And people smarter than us will figure it out one day. But right now, we don't know what the hot dense state is, where it came from, or even how to explain it. That's why we say hot dense state or singularity. You know what I mean? But when it comes to like a God belief, we can't say that one exists or not either way. You know what I mean? The only thing that we can say is that we can't demonstrate it to exist outside of our imagination. So no reason for me to believe it.
Okay, so you're basically saying, damn, I'm already out of time. I'm not gonna lie. What's it called? So I guess you would be saying that you're more agnostic atheist then, since you don't know.
I'm an agnostic atheist, correct?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think any of my arguments could even, you know, like my arguments are more like shifted towards like the positive atheist, or just atheist in general. But
okay, yeah, I mean, you could talk to someone.
No, you have a good night. You have a good day, bro.
Not a problem. Yeah, you too. Huh? You could talk to someone named Dr. Blitz or Ian. They're definitely on the God doesn't exist hard atheist stance. Me, I'm more on you know, we can't really show one to exist, so I don't believe it. So like follow Dr. or find, I would say, not follow, you don't have to follow them, but find someone named Dr. Blitz, find someone named Ian. They do debates usually in the afternoon. If you have time, definitely jump on it and have that discussion, because I think your arguments will probably be a lot better with them if you can talk to them.
Yeah. Like my whole thing can't, like it's really targeted towards like people who actually like make the positive claim that there is
God
no
doesn't
God or
exist.
anything.
Yeah, I got you. No, not a problem.
Yeah.
Hey, but I appreciate you
No,
being
you have
up.
a good day, bro.
You too.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I do appreciate y'all being here. What's his name? Volty. I'm gonna get to you in a second. All right. I do appreciate you, but Anderson over on my YouTube, he's been here and he's been patient, so I do got to get to him. But I promise me, I'm gonna get to you when we have time. I do see you, Violator, in the at the queue as well. And Anderson, I'm gonna talk to you in a second. Give me 1 second, Anderson. As a matter of fact, Anderson, test your mic real quick for me. Say mic check 1 2.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Cool. Everybody hear him? Volty, do you hear him?
Yeah, I hear him.
Okay, great. Violator, are you at least 18? And do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, over 18.
Okay, cool. You're gonna be right after Volty, all right? Everybody, thank you so much. Thank y'all for being patient. Anderson, give me 1 second. All right, so once again, if you're watching me over on the Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you so much. Thank y'all. Go ahead and keep the chats going. If you're watching me over on anything else, on Twitch or on YouTube, go ahead and you can join in on with the link tiny.cc/volcylive. I appreciate you as well. And if you're watching me over on Volcy Thoughts, shout out to my mods. Thank y'all so much. I'm gonna go ahead and put a super chat goal up, and you guys can send that. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. We're gonna move on to Anderson over on the StreamYard. Anderson, how's it going? Are you at least 18? And do you think you could give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, I'm 18, doing well. Yeah, I think I can. I don't know if I can give you a good reason to believe in a God per se, but I think I can make the God hypothesis seem less ridiculous and make you more open to believing one. I think, potentially.
Okay, well, what would you say?
So you mentioned the C word earlier. So you said consciousness, and I think so. I'm not sure if you're too familiar with that space, but I think that's the best argument for the materialist slash physical worldview. It has a clear limitation. So the argument it's quite subtle, but it's that the process of subjectivity or qualia, or the fact that it's like something to be you, there doesn't seem to be a clear run through or a clear mechanistic process where you can go from physical matter that is, physically interacting, having some sort of higher order organization, that at some point you create this subjective experience. The subjectivity part of human experience seems to simply come out of nowhere. It seems to be the most important thing, because without subjectivity, then what you have is a non-feeling physical system that can still do all the physical things that a system could do, except there's no experience. So to put it more tightly, you can think of a system where someone touches a stove. The process of touching a stove is physical system, which is the heat, has to travel through your arm, through your nerves, hit your brain. That entire process is a physical process. But the upshot is the subjective experience of how it feels for you to feel fire. That subjective experience does not need to be there for you to go, oh, let me pull my hand because this is not safe. There's a ton of physical processes that happen. I mean, most physical processes that our bodies take part in, like our, digestive system, pupil dilation, these are all physical processes where you have a physical reaction where you have a mechanism and there's no subjective experience. So there's no reason for subjective experience to emerge from a physical process. And this is completely unexplained. And it's more odd than that. It's not that there's no reason for it. It's that there's no plausible explanation for how a physical system can give rise to emergent qualia subjective experience. So this is just a massive mystery. It's actually bigger potentially than the nothing to something jump. It's actually bigger than that, because in theory, that nothing to something jump is still a physical mechanistic process that, although odd and strange, you can see how you can go from point A to point B. The qualia issue, there's no intelligible, there's no reasonable way for you to go from 0 to 1, and it's not necessary for a physical system to interact with its environment. And qualia subjective experience is the most important thing in the universe, because without it, what you have is you pretty much have a computer, or you have like a physical system that is interacting in the world, but you have like a thermometer that's extremely complex, where the temperature can rise and raise, but it doesn't land on any internal system.
Okay.
So this, okay.
Let me, so just to wrap up everything that you're saying, our subjective experience, like, cause we're a physical body, but our subjective experience didn't need to happen for the physical body to interact with the environment.
No, it's not that it didn't need to happen for the physical body to interact with the environment. It's that it didn't need to happen at all for any living organism to be alive.
But so what?
So there's no explanation for it because it is redundant. It is superfluous.
Not necessarily, because us having the conscious experience helped us survive, right? Like what you're saying with the thing about fire. If humans didn't have a subjective experience of pain, we would always be touching fire and we wouldn't survive, wouldn't we? So like
Right,
the reason could just be survivability. Like those who didn't have that subjective experience of pain didn't survive, or they didn't survive as much, because there are people who now today, like, they don't feel pain, right? They feel no pain at all. But what happens to them? They get sick, their body falls apart, they get viruses, et cetera. And you have to be careful of them, because if they're always running into things, or, kids run into things, kids burn, et cetera, they're going to get infections. And that's a big thing with people who don't feel pain. They're always getting infections. Yeah, I mean, because they don't feel anything. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, right. So hold on, Anderson. What I'm saying is that with everything that you just said, you said that, it didn't need for people to be alive. Actually, it did, because we wouldn't survive without it.
Right. So we need to take a step back, because you're not, which is totally understandable, because I'm not explaining it quite well. And if it's your first time hearing this concept, it can take a while. So I'm not accurately communicating what I mean by subjective experience or qualia. There's another thought experiment that we can use to help kind of pump your intuitions here. So the thought experiment, so it goes something like, there's a woman, she's in a closed room and she's never been outside.
And she's never seen color?
Correct. So it's that whole thing. So the question is, when she steps outside and she sees color, right? Mm-hmm. Does she learn anything new? And she does, because it's not in the equations.
Right. She does learn something new, because she's only ever seen black and white. So when she steps outside and sees green, she learns something new. She learns a new color, green. She can't put the label to it because she doesn't know what it is yet. But it's a new experience.
Right. But the key, But the key point that I think you're kind of overlooking here is that she's a physicist that fully understands the physics of color. So that's technically all the physical, information that is needed to process and to understand how color works and what it is. That's why when she steps outside, the question is she experiencing, or does she get new information that was not there simply in the equations? And when your
because
your intuition.
Yeah, because if she was in a room that was only black and white, then green, blue, and yellow was not part of her equation.
No. So it's that, but the equations, right? The equations that are used to track, physical systems that can display color. Those you can track those. They're just, I mean, they're not equations that I know, but there are equations that people know where you can look at the equation and you go, okay, now we have light that's at this spectrum because we see this equation.
Gotcha.
Now,
All right, I got you. But Anderson, my question is, within this analogy, does she have access to those equations?
Right. She has full access. She knows all of the equations perfectly in and out.
Okay. So she's aware that green is a thing. She just never seen it.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Correct.
So when she goes outside, she gets a new experience of the green that she's never had experience of before. That's possible to happen. Like, you can have information about something and never experience it.
Right. Now that right there, the fact that she now sees the color, that's what I mean by qualia. You gave an example about someone who could not feel something because something in their brain or something in their system is not working. But that's
there are
not
people who
what I
can't
mean
feel
by
pain.
Qualia. We're not talking about it from that high level. We're talking about it from a much more granular level. So like something like your eye, right? Your eye and your pupil dilates when you take light and you put light on it. Now you don't have a subjective experience of that physical process happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean, that you could in theory have, they're called philosophical zombies. That's not a jargon, that's an actual technical term, where you have a system that has all of the neurons, all of the physical processes that a human has, right? But it doesn't have subjective experience. It doesn't need subjective experience to go, that's a lion, I need to run because it might eat me. Why does it not need to have subjective experience? Because it still can use the physical information that it's getting, which is the light hitting its eye, seeing the predator,
mm-hmm.
and it can have the the algorithm that's in its brain that has it react based off the physical information that's in its environment.
And I'm really not sure what we're getting at, because like anthropologists have looked into a lot of this, right? There are people, like, human beings are agency detecting machines, right? We needed to detect agency because if we didn't survive out in the wild. Like what you're saying right now, the saber-toothed tiger would eat us if we didn't know how to differentiate between a saber-toothed tiger and a tree. You know what I'm saying? So like the ancestors that didn't know how to do that or couldn't do that, they didn't survive. And those that did survive.
Correct. I'm with you 100%. But the thing that I'm talking about is at a much narrower level that is not talking about it from that level. Because
what level are we talking about it then? Because that's
right.
Really
we're talking about it from the process. For instance, the process of a physical system,
mm-hmm.
physical systems that interact mechanistically with other physical systems. That is to say,
how do they emerge into our subjective experience?
Well, hold on. When you so just like track this. When you take a light and you flash it into your eye, right? Or the process of, let's say when you eat something and your body responds mechanistically and you're not aware of that physical process that's happening. Why? Because you're not subjective. It's not salient to you because subjectively you are not aware of it. But what is happening, the physical processes, because we are a physical
Right.
system.
So, and Anderson, I get all this, right? The physical processes, we're not conscious of it. Like I get that. We're only conscious of when it hits our brain. I get all that part, right? But what is this telling me? Like, it doesn't really tell me anything. Just because, like, that physical process that hits our brain, and then we get a conscious experience. What? So what? What is that telling us? Because we needed to get those conscious experiences for us to survive. Like, it helped us survive. I mean, so
no,
like what?
That's no. So that's literally it, and it's called David Chalmers' The Hard Problem of Consciousness. That's the actual technical name of it. My first time, the first time that I came across it was through Sam Harris, and then it kind of sucked me in. It is the strongest argument. It is the strongest argument and the biggest gap in the materialist worldview.
How is it a gap though? Because I'm not sure if I'm understanding it incorrectly. Because all it's saying is that there's a physical process that happens. Then when it hits our brain, we get a subjective experience, and there's a gap there to explain. But one of the explanation, like, sure, I'm not denying that there's a gap there to explain, right? But one of the explanations can just be survivability. We needed a conscious experience for us to survive, because evolution is built for your survival, right? If we didn't get this experience, we would not survive. So over generations, we built that experience to survive. That could be the explanation there, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not understanding you. Maybe there's another way to explain it. If there's another way to explain it, yeah, sure. But because maybe I'm not understanding, because it seems like the answer is we needed to survive, basically. What are the answers?
The thing that you're not not acknowledging is that you can have a physical system that interacts with its environment, and it interacts in a way where based off its genes, based off its characteristics, the ones that are most fit will survive and will transmit that information to their descendants. But that entire physical process can happen without subjectivity, again, because we have clear physical systems that we know can interact in a cause and effect manner without the human or the person being aware of the subject of the nature of the thing while it's happening. Again, like the simplest example is when you take, I think that the example with the hand on the stove is the best. Think about what happens when your hand touches the stove. It's not magic, right? You literally have neurons, or you have cells that have some type of electricity, and there's physical information that literally needs to travel at some speed, at some miles per hour. It has to travel up your arm, and it has to go in your head, and then I think I get it. I get what you're saying. How do these physical processes jump into subjective experience? How does that happen? And why does that happen? Yeah, sure. That part right there, we can say we don't know. Maybe it has something to do with survival. Maybe it doesn't. We don't really know yet. But it doesn't really get us to a God, does it? Hold on, I'm sorry. You can't ram through that point, because this is the analogy that helps clarify the larger idea.
No. I'm thinking. I'm understanding the larger idea. Why and how do physical processes become subjective experience? Why does that happen? How does that happen? We're not sure of it yet. I get that. How does this get us to a God? From my viewpoint, this entire process could just be about survivability. You know what I mean? Because that's all that's what all the sciences teach us about evolution, right? This could all be about survivability. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Now, if it isn't, there could be another reason. Sure. How does this get us to a God, though?
Okay, let me just finish up what I was saying, and then I will answer that question. The thing about the physical, like the fire, like your hand, touching the stove, it's that the feeling that you get from it, you do not have to have the feeling to pull your hand. You can just have the physical information traveling up your arm, and then pull your arm. You don't need to feel fire at all. And then you touch fire, you get the physical information, it goes up your arm, hits your brain, and then because of evolution, and you having some type of brain that tells you tells the brain this is bad, it pulls it. It literally pulls the hand. That keeps you alive. You don't need subjective experience. Now, to answer your most recent question, the reason that this is not hard evidence for God. What it is good evidence that the world is more. I mean, and again, okay, so I'll put my cards on the table. I am an atheist, right? Yes, that is true. But I think that this is the best argument that suggests that the world has a nature to it. And that nature, it might be that consciousness actually runs through, not just in humans' brains, but in all things, potentially. And you have a world that's more like a panpsychist type of world. That is to say, you have consciousness that runs through. Now, does that mean that Jesus walked on water and that, Jesus Christ says, no, it does. There's no, no, I'm not in that space, but I am more open to the space. And what this would allow for, it allows for some type of afterlife potentially because of the raw nature of, subjectivity.
Okay. So what this seems to imply is that if consciousness is not just from our brain, it's in like a dimension that we can't access yet, and it flows into our dimension, and perhaps after we die it will flow back to the alternate dimension where consciousness comes from. Is that where what this is?
So I'm not saying any of that. I have no idea. I'm totally agnostic to all of that. I just know that it is not explained currently. And the way that it is, it doesn't seem like it can be explained. But is it flowing back and I have no idea.
Okay,
no idea.
No, I get that. Yeah, sure. Some of these things can't be explained. That's not a problem for me. But we are out of time. I do appreciate you being up here, Anderson.
All right.
Not a problem. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and move on to Volty. Volty,
right.
how's it going, Volty? I appreciate you for being patient. I'm gonna put the time on the clock for you. I'm gonna give you a little bit more time because Anderson did go over time, so I'll give you 15 instead of 13. So Volty, how's it going? Are you at least 18? And do you think you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I would have to what would be a good reason? Like, what would a good reason look like to you? And like, what evidence or argument would actually change your mind?
A good reason for me would just be what you said, evidence. I mean, any type of evidence that's testable, repeatable, and demonstrable.
So like scientific evidence, something provable.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I always say is that it doesn't even necessarily need to be a specific God. It doesn't necessarily even need to be a God. It could even just be, the spiritual world. You know what I'm saying? Like there's spirits out there, like the ancestral plane that we saw in Wakanda. You know what I mean? If we can show that consciousness still somehow survives after death in another dimension, then that would be okay, cool. There's another dimension that we go to after we die. How do we actually access that dimension? What do we do now? Yeah, I mean, that even just that would say that if there's another dimension, that kind of implies that there could be beings that are more powerful than those dimensions. Even if we had that would be like, okay, y'all, I'll have to tell all my atheists, hey, y'all, there might be a God. You know what I'm saying? Because look, there's another dimension out here. So I think that would be enough. I'm sorry, I kind of took your time.
No, you're good. So it sounds like you're defining God as something like science could detect. And then if science can't detect him, therefore he doesn't exist. Like,
I'm not saying he doesn't exist. I'm saying I don't really have a good reason to believe it.
Okay, because science can't detect him.
Yeah, it can't be detected as of now. Or if it's even reasonable to believe it.
So it sounds rational, but it's kind of circular, right? You're saying God needs to be within a rule set that science can measure. So you're defining God as something science could detect, but then you're saying it can't detect him. Okay, he doesn't exist. So it's like circling back in on itself. Do you get what I'm saying?
But that's not what I said.
Okay, so explain to me, what would
I'm saying that
change your mind.
I'm saying we have no evidence of this thing that people are claiming it as of the moment, right? So there's no good reason to believe that there's no really good reason to believe the claim if we cannot have evidence that it actually exists.
And like evidence is in scientific evidence, right?
That's the evidence that most people will take. Yeah.
Right.
What other
Okay.
evidence
So
is there?
It's like when I go back, you're defining God as something science can detect already.
I'm not defining God that way.
Well, you said you need science to detect God.
Yeah, that's
right.
Is there another way to detect anything?
Well, I mean, yeah, personal, like miracles happen. People experience things themselves, right? So this isn't scientific evidence, but it's personal experience, more like. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So but
let's go back on the science.
The problem is with that is that we can't really go off of just personal.
Sure, because they could be hallucinating, which means like no evidence could actually reach them. Yeah, right. So that's why I'm going to go back on the scientific evidence part. You're defining it as something like science can detect, right? But then you're saying, okay, science can't detect them, so I have no reason to believe this. But if you're defining God as something science can literally detect itself, and then saying, oh, he doesn't exist within science, but I can detect him with science. Well, how is that? You know what I mean? It like circles back in on itself.
The problem is, Volty, I didn't define God.
Well, no. I'm saying, like, I asked you, remember at the beginning, I was like, what reason would change your mind?
Yeah, evidence.
And you're like, evidence, scientific evidence.
Scientific evidence.
Right. And again, if you're defining God as something science can detect.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that, though.
Well, you said in order for me to believe in God, I need scientific evidence, which means God has to be detected within science.
Okay. So is there another way to detect things?
Yeah. Okay. Like I just said, personal experience.
Right. But you already admitted
God
that
appeared in front of you right now.
Right. But you already said that personal experience is not that great because a pink dragon can.
Well, no. According to you, right? According to you.
Right. But Volty, listen what I'm saying too. A pink dragon can appear to me in my personal experience right now. That wouldn't mean a pink dragon exists, does it?
Well, to others, maybe not, but to you, maybe. You know what I mean?
Right. So to me, okay. So if we're gonna do that, then that would mean that let's do this.
But that's also denying the fact.
Hold on, wait. Let me just say let me just
kind of. My argument isn't personal right away. It's on the science.
I got you. But let me try to pin down. Are you is your position for like a general God or a specific one?
Yeah, like a creator.
A creator, or so a general one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So just a general one. That's fine. Okay, cool. So it still goes back to the thing about the pink dragon. Hey y'all, that's my wife behind me. All right, that's what y'all seeing. I haven't moved my camera yet. But what I'm trying to say is that all right. So if we're gonna say that it's gonna be personal, right? Again, that we will have to say that okay, if that's the case, then if we're going all personal, then genies and dragons and unicorns and mermaids, those are all real. Because
there's no scientific evidence for all of these things. But if somebody experienced it, had a testimony about it, and they said it was real, then we don't know as of right now because science hasn't proved or disproved it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, yeah, sure, we can.
So here, wait. What
I'm saying is that since we cannot show these things to be true, right? Because if they're interacting with our physical world, why won't we be able to detect them physically?
Well, maybe science hasn't discovered it yet. Just like science discovers new things every day. You know what I mean? Maybe it just hasn't reached that portion. But here, wait. Let me go back on that main thing. What would you define God as? How can we detect God if he existed? How would we be able to do it?
I don't know. That's the thing. That's the people who believe in God.
Okay. So that's okay. That's honest. Okay. Okay. But then don't you see how, like, if you don't know how we can detect God, you're just that's your reason to believe God doesn't exist because I don't know if I can detect him.
No, not really. That's a reason for me to not believe. That's not a reason for me to say that to make the claim that he definitely doesn't exist. But it's enough for me to not
believe. Sure. Like how can that be your belief system to say, oh, I don't know if he exists because I can't detect him, so he doesn't. I believe he doesn't.
There's like I could say I don't believe leprechauns exist because we've never detected leprechauns. There's I can say that we never detected a pink unicorn inside the core of Neptune. So,
Okay, would anything change your mind about
yeah, sure,
God's
evidence.
existence?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure, give me some evidence.
what type of evidence?
Scientific evidence. Give me some scientific
Okay,
evidence.
then you're defining God as something science can detect. Okay, therefore,
if he can't be detected through science, how do we detect?
No. Let's assume
then?
he can. Let's assume he can. He can.
Okay.
And then let's say science can't detect him, therefore he doesn't exist.
Wait, hold on. He can be detected through science, but science can't detect him.
Well, no, not truly. He can't be detected through science, but you're saying that his definition needs to be scientific evidence, which can't be detected.
What I'm saying is that the evidence for him should be scientific evidence.
Yeah, but you're saying God is in the world of science. God needs to be something science can detect. Therefore,
why not?
Therefore, if science can't detect him, he doesn't exist.
I didn't say he doesn't exist. I said we have no reason to believe that now because there's no evidence of it.
Right, because science can't detect him. But that's just circular.
How is that? How is that circular? What I'm saying is that there are people who claim that there's a supernatural character out there that created the universe that exists outside of space and time. How do we actually prove this to be real? How do we detect things outside of space and time? We can't.
Well, that's personal relationship, right? You don't scientifically detect a God, which is why science doesn't say, "Oh, we know if a God exists," or "We don't know."
Yeah, they don't.
Science doesn't even talk about God.
Science doesn't, exactly. They don't.
So because it's circular, if you try and put God within a scientific category, you can't say, "Oh, God exists within science," but we can't measure him. It doesn't because what? He doesn't exist.
I didn't say God exists within science. I'm saying that there's a claim that people are making of a supernatural being that created the universe and lives outside of space and time. If that's what they're claiming, how exactly do we show that to be true? That's what I'm saying.
And it would have to be through personal experience, right? Because there's no other way within scientific evidence that you can prove or disprove that God exists.
If that's the case, then mermaids also exist because my sister said she saw one when she was 6.
Okay, but what was it? Did you see her when she told you this? What did she?
Yes.
When did she tell you? Where did she tell you?
We visited Haiti when my grandfather passed away, and then when we came back to Miami, my sister said that she saw a mermaid. She was like 8, and I was like 6.
Okay, so she's 8, so she has an imagination.
Yeah, but according to you, it had to be through personal experience. According to her personal experience, mermaids exist.
For rational logic, can she explain it? Can she say what happened? Can she explain what the mermaid looked like?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did explain what it looks like.
Explain to me exactly what she said.
She said that it was green with scaly skin, long snout, and sharp teeth. So she saw a crocodile.
Skin, long snouts,
and sharp teeth. So she saw a crocodile. She saw a crocodile.
Crocodile. Okay, yeah. She explained a crocodile and called it a mermaid. Yeah, so there's a difference there.
Exactly. But still to this day, Volty, but still to this day, there are people in Haiti that say that mermaids exist and they all explain the exact same way. It's a crocodile. That's what they're saying.
Well, if they're explaining a crocodile and calling it a mermaid, they don't know what a crocodile is.
They don't know what a crocodile is. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So they can learn it. But the point I'm trying to make is that since people can explain what things are, for somebody to explain a God, they're not explaining a crocodile. They're not explaining something that we know. They're explaining something that we don't know.
That we don't know.
You get what I'm saying?
But how do you explain something that you don't know?
Yeah, you explain it through unknown. So here, for example, I'm explaining it right now. We don't know what God is, but we know there's something that's unknown. Okay,
so
here,
God is
imagine
dark matter?
Here. It's like a UAP. You know what a UFO is?
So God is dark matter?
No. Well, here, let me explain it. A UFO. We don't know what a UFO is, but we can explain it through unknown terms.
So, bro, God is dark matter?
Well, I couldn't tell you what God is, you know.
We don't know what God is, but it's something. So God is dark matter?
It's something, yes, something. I don't know. No, it's not dark matter. You're giving it a name.
So what is it?
Okay, that's for us to find out. That's the point. It's unknown.
All right, so how do we know it exists?
Well, because it can't be measured. We have ontological evidence. The concept exists as something unknown, something that's like creation that created everything. But there's
how do you show that to be true?
Well, that's ontological evidence. It exists.
It exists because I said it does.
No, it's a concept in your head, something that's outside of space-time.
A concept in my head is Frieza. Does Frieza exist?
What is outside of space-time? Explain that.
That there is no outside of space-time. Doesn't make any sense.
No. Well, no. You used it. You said a God is outside of space-time. What does that mean?
I'm saying that's what people who claim that God exists.
How can somebody say that? Okay, Where does that come from?
Hold on. It comes from the fact that they know what space time is. So because they know because they have a concept of space and time, then they put this God outside of that, because that the way that God was always explained within their religious texts has always been a God that's within our reality. But because we've able to explore enough of our reality, for example, remember the ascension of Jesus. I'm not saying that you're a Christian or anything like that, but the ascension of Jesus wouldn't make sense, because the fact that we have telescopes right now and we know that the clouds are not anything heavenly body, like there's space out there, right? Like Jesus is not in the clouds, but ancient people back then didn't know that. But as humanity progressed and moved forward, God just moves forward and forward back, and because now we can explore the universe, now people just put him outside of space and time. That's where that comes from.
Okay, but you know, like space and time, for there to be time and for there to be space, there's something unknown but there's something unknown that created time, which is timeless, right?
How do you know that?
Okay, for example, we're still trying to find the cause to the Big Bang, which created space-time. So what I'm trying to say is that for there to be time, there has to be something timeless. That's what we call outside of space-time.
Wait, how do you know that?
Well, because for there to be space and time, there has to be something that created cause and effect, right? You can't just affect. You have to have something that causes something.
Right, but the claim that you're making is this God individual that you're attributing it to. Is it deliberate? Does it have will? Does it have anything like that?
Well, I don't know. I know there's a creator, right?
All right.
That's what I call
so
God.
How do you know that there's a creator? Because all we know is that space-time expanded from the hot dense state of the Big Bang. How do we know that's a creator? Because creator,
again,
what I'm saying, the way you're using creator,
cause and effect. Hold on.
Let me try to like clarify something, because the way you're using creator is something that has will in the like deliberate will and agency. That's the way you're using it. If you're not using it that way, are you saying that the creator or whatever it is could just be a natural process that we don't understand?
Well, no. It's a God is like a thing outside of natural process, because that's within science, right?
So it has agency.
Only here. Let me explain something. Science is what measures what's natural.
What I'm asking is, does God have agency? Does it have will?
Will as in what? Explain.
Like it wants things. It does things deliberately. Like me taking off my hat, like I did that deliberately. Me rubbing on my beautiful bald head.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know God.
Right, exactly. So if you don't know, then how can you say that there's a creator that created space time?
Okay, what does that concept come from? What's God? What is that word?
That concept comes from that word is, I think, is Latin, but the concept comes from the fact of that humans are agency detectors. We detect agency in everything. We had to do that.
Agency?
Hold on. I'm explaining.
Okay.
We had to detect agency because it was a way for us to survive. You see what I'm saying? Because if we were out there and we saw a bear and we saw a tree, but we couldn't differentiate between a bear that wants to eat us and a tree that's just standing there, you got eaten, right? So we evolved to detect agency. But what happened is type 1 errors. Type 1 errors is basically that we detect agency in everything now. That's just basically a fact of evolution.
So what was God representing back then?
God was representative in God was representative in animism. It was like the trees, the stars, the sun. If you look at all ancient,
let's do the Bible.
If you look at all ancient religions, that's how they use. If you look at like Zeus, for example, Zeus is just a personification of the sky, just like Apollo is a personification of the sun.
I see what you're saying, but what about the Bible?
When it comes to the Bible, the fact is that human beings, we can't worship 12 gods, right? So what happens is that those gods become more and more like this happened in ancient Greece, for example. In ancient Greece, Athens, who do they worship? Athens worship Athena, while Sparta worship Ares, and I think it was either Corsica or which one was it? Corinth. It was Corinth. Corinth worship Poseidon. You see what I'm saying? So
sure, but what God does Jesus represent?
The God that Jesus represents is Yahweh. Yahweh was the storm and war deity of the ancient Canaanites.
No, but isn't there more to Yahweh? Isn't that like above everything else? It's like every God.
No, Yahweh was part of a pantheon. He wasn't even the highest one.
So you're saying the Bible doesn't say anything about like an all-knowing outside of space-time?
It does. No. That's what I'm saying, Balti. What I'm saying is that The Bible does make Yahweh like the leader of the cosmos, but the ancient Israelites also always believed in a whole bunch of gods. It's just Yahweh was their main patron god. And
Why?
then
What's so special about Yahweh?
Because he was the storm and war deity, and the Israelites at that time were at war.
No, but what did that represent physically?
War.
Well, oh, so you're saying all war represented Yahweh?
Yeah, because that's what the ancient Israelites during that time when they started
what would
worshiping.
You say about Jesus spreading
hold
love?
on.
I'm
explaining, Volty.
God of war.
I'm explaining, Volty.
Okay.
During that time, the Israelites were at war, right? So they worshiped the war god, and in order to bless them with more war, and they were conquering Canaan, basically. So because they were conquering Canaan, they had to worship a war god, right? So they were worshiping the god of war, who was Yahweh. After they took over it, they took over everything, right? They just made Yahweh their main patron god because he was the one that gave them the promised land. So they made him the main patron god. And after a while, after hundreds or maybe even a whole millennia, you have to go ahead and survive with your neighbors, right? And that's when the Jesus figure comes along.
So you're saying Yahweh means God of war?
Yahweh was the god of storms and war, yes.
Okay, so then why isn't Jesus considered as the god of war if he's Yahweh?
Because Jesus brought an entirely new philosophy to. Well, it wasn't even entirely new.
Okay.
Jesus just became the most popular one that was preaching a different philosophy.
Well, but if he was Yahweh,
but if you gotta understand, dude, what you gotta understand is how polytheism turns into monotheism. That's what you need to. That's where you need to look up, and that's where you need to understand. Because Middle Eastern polytheism is accumulation of different beliefs over time that led into monotheism because of political stuff and political structures and a whole bunch of other things. So colonization and monotheism really go hand in hand.
Okay, hold up. Let me bring it back to the main question, okay? Because again, I started this question. We kind of got off topic, went into the Bible, everything else. But the main question was, what would a good reason look like to you? What evidence or argument would like change your mind? Because your question is, give me a good reason to believe in God. So what would change this? What's a good reason to you? What does it look like?
Okay, cool. Have you ever read about Paul's road to Damascus experience?
No. What?
Okay. Paul on the road to Damascus, what happened is that the way he converts to Christianity, according to what the Bible says, is that Jesus appeared to him in the sky and said, "Why are you persecuting me?" Now, Paul was an educated person, so he spoke Greek. So Jesus must have been speaking to him in Greek, and he appeared to him in the sky, saying, "Why are you persecuting me? I'm the Lord," etc., etc. So the best evidence that an almighty, powerful creator who can have this power to exist, my best evidence for it would to be give everyone on the planet, everyone at the same time in their own language, that same experience.
So not just like people here, people there, everyone
at the same time, in their language, that experience. What about the people that come? Volty. Give everyone at the same time in their own language that experience, and everyone survives. That would not be possible if it was aliens or some shit. Because even if we say that it was like aliens or some shit, why did the aliens choose that specific God? You know what I'm saying? So if you're able to give everyone at the same time in their own language that same experience, and we all survive, that will be enough evidence for me to say, okay, cool. I'm 99.999% sure that God exists.
Sure. Okay. So everybody having this personal experience with God
at the same time in their own language.
Okay. At the same time. Survive. So then what about the people to come? 5 years, a kid's born. How does he have it at the same time as these people? How does he know that these people aren't just lying?
That's actually a good, a very good question. I would say that, yeah, we would, that we'll just have to teach him, or he can just have, hold on, give me a second.
Okay.
Or he could just give them that experience again. Why not?
But again, like if God's just not like, because remember, if God's like, let's say faith based, right? He's not just gonna give everybody the experience once he's already given it.
And that's worthless then.
Well, it's worthless. But you said we all should feel this personal relationship with God at the same time.
Not just feel it, we all actually see it. As a matter of fact, just write his name on the moon. The moon is right there. Just say, I am God, I exist. Just put it on the moon.
But you don't think people can doubt that to come like 10 years, 100,000 years later? You don't think people
we're
can
discussing an all-knowing, all-powerful God? God knows exactly how to convince everybody.
We're not talking. We're just talking about a creator. But look,
Yeah. Is that creator not all powerful?
Well, we don't know. We're just talking about a creator.
Okay, then I'm going to use the generic definition for what we say God, which is all-knowing and all-powerful. If God is all-knowing and all-powerful, God should know exactly how to convince every single person on the planet at any point, at every point.
Well, here, let me ask you this: why would he? Why would he want to convince you?
Why would he? Are we his children?
Who said that?
All right, what type of creator are we? Hold on, just to be fair to him, Satan, because he is arguing for like a generic just creator, right? But why if so? What is this creator then? He just kind of made the universe and kind of fucked off.
It's what started the Big Bang, for example, right?
It's just what started the Big Bang. All right, so basically, this motherfucker don't care about. So this motherfucker just don't care about us. Basically, he just created the universe and kind of screwed off on his own way.
Well, so are you thinking that he's evil? What
I'm not thinking that he's evil. I'm just thinking that he's just, apathetic. Basically, he got basically like how Lisa did in The Simpsons, got a static shock and poked the goo and kind of
let me change it to this. Let me change this. If God wouldn't, okay, so you said if God shows up to everybody at the same time with the same experience, we all see it. But since that, let's say that won't happen. Let's say it never will. It'll only show up to certain people like it has over history. Not everybody, just certain people who've given their testimonies and things over religions, all that, like it's been doing. Well, then my question for you is, since it won't ever show up to everybody at the same time, that means nothing would ever change your mind.
I mean, sure, it could be something else.
But you just named the only thing that would change your mind.
Well, you asked me what would be good evidence. I said that. I mean,
but I'm just saying, if nothing changes your mind, you're literally just a believer in the opposite direction.
No, not
which is
really.
Like a faith of itself.
No, not really. I didn't say nothing else what changed my mind, right? I said that's the best one that he could do. But you did ask a very important question. What about 10 years from now? Those kids didn't experience it, so what will happen then? Yeah, sure. Like, I think he should probably just do it again every 10 years, every 10, 25 years.
He just does it again.
He just does it again.
Times.
Yeah, why not?
How do you know he hasn't been doing that already?
Because I'm not experiencing him right now, am I?
Well, no, right now. But how do you know you won't when you're like, let's say 80?
Okay, if it happens when I'm 80, that would be amazing. But again, in those parameters, does it happen to everyone at the same time?
But I'm just saying, for you to say, okay, I don't believe God exists because
what the fuck, dude? What took you so fucking long?
I would be like, what took you so long, bro? What the fuck? All right. All right, guys, we really are at past the 15 minutes, and I'm gonna have to go soon. So, Volty, I do appreciate you being up, but we got to go ahead and move on. All right.
All right. Yeah, for sure.
No problem. All right. Shout out to Caddy. Shout out to Satan. Y'all make sure to follow Caddy. Make sure to follow Satan. They're going to be chiming in as well. I do appreciate everybody who's here. Larry Spaghetti, I'm not gonna invite you back up. You're just an asshole. But what happened to the other guy? All right, Die Night, is that your name?
Hi. Yeah, that's my name. Hello, how are you? How's everyone?
Oh, Larry Spaghetti, that wasn't you. My bad, Larry Spaghetti. I'll bring you back up. Die Night, just a quick question because I gotta talk to Violator real quick. Are you at least 18, and did you want to give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes, I'm 23, and I have a solid reason. It's backed up by science. It's backed up by maths. It's backed up by physics.
I got you. We just got to get to Violator first. All right, Violator, you're gonna be next. Let me just ask Larry a quick question. Hey, Larry, my bad. I thought you were the person that came up before. Are you at least 18, and do you think you give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I'm over 18, and I can give an argument for God.
All right, great. So Caddy and Satan are gonna chime in as well, guys. We have a full panel now. Let me see if I could go ahead and bring the panel up. We're gonna start with Violator. Violator, what do you think that good reason is to believe in a God? Appreciate you for being patient. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I can't give you a reason as to why you should believe in God, but I'll give you a reason as to why I believe in God.
Sure.
Everything in the world points to an intelligent mind. The beginning of the universe, how, law and order and everything. So it says that there must be something that exists that has created everything.
Cool.
So it will be.
Cool.
foolish
Gotcha.
of me to say.
Gotcha.
Non-life.
Okay.
Life
So
came
hold
from
on,
non-life.
Violet. We've heard this before. That's the only reason I cut you off, because we heard it before. All right. Cool. Caddy, Satan, you guys want to get on this? Whichever one you guys want to go first.
So I want to say this. What I notice is a lot of people do this monotheistic, authoritarian understanding of the concept of God, because that's what they're used to as the concept. But those are finite notions, and finite notions, even from a scientific point of view, are not the only notions that we now have in science. We have cyclic notions. We have multiple Big Bang theories. We have all kinds of different theories outside of finite notions. So I'm gonna rearrange the question to: it is what it is and always has been, and you are interconnected with the ultimate reality. The only difference is you have a sentient mind that is subjective, that views the reality and context from which you live in as separate from yourself. But it's interconnected because you rely on certain functions of the cosmos to be where they are so that you can live and you can thrive. Now, what you're doing is you're taking your experience and you're saying, well, I need forms, and I'm labeling all the forms. And you want to give these forms feelings, contexts. You want to give them a whole bunch of explanations for why they exist. But these are still coming from your experiences. You're still looking at the world saying, I want this form to mean this. This is what I feel from this form. And you are giving it a description, you're giving it a title, you're giving it a meaning, right? Now you can simply say, oh, fire is hot. So fire feels like this. This is what I feel like near fire. And then from that experience of the natural reality of what you experience with fire, you give fire a name. And that name becomes the name of fire. Now, did fire tell you fire was fire? You can say no, but you can also say yes, because you experienced it. And that experience gave you the ability to label it. But then to give it all these other characteristics outside of itself is your own imagination and your own subjective experience.
Gotcha. Satan, did you have anything that you wanted to say towards Violator?
I just think you're starting off with a false concept when you say we can look around and we can look at everything leads to a creator. The people who understand the world don't understand that, don't believe that. The atheists on the planet don't believe that. Most of the polytheistic people on the planet don't believe that. So I don't know why you're saying if we can look around. I feel like you're putting yourself in that situation and just answering for everybody, and I feel like that's dishonest.
Yeah, so Violator, what I would say to that, right, is that it sounds intuitive that these things exist, therefore it must have came from somewhere, right? But we all agree that existence in of itself is a mystery. We don't know why why is there something rather than nothing, right? So that is a mystery, but just because that mystery is there doesn't mean that everything around us had to be from a deliberate creation, from a deliberate creator. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that. When you say that things around us are a creation, you would need to show that a creator even exists first. Give me 1 second, y'all. I do have Tyler, who is now joining us from the TikToks. I mean, not the TikTok, the StreamYard. Give me 1 second. Let me just ask one thing. Tyler, are you at least 18? And did you want to give us a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah, I mean.
All right, cool.
I think
everyone can
hear.
How
do I join the thing y'all are in? Or it doesn't matter?
Yeah, it's fine. Everyone can hear Tyler?
Yeah, we can.
All right, cool. And Tyler, did you hear them?
Yeah, I can hear him.
All right, great. All right, cool. So right now, Tyler, we're talking to Violator. Just be patient for me, okay? All right. So,
cool.
All right, yeah, Violator. Does all that make sense to you? What we're saying?
Yeah, it does. But the thing with me is like, how can life come from non-life?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
the only people that believe that are you.
There's no such thing as no thing. Even in physics, there is no such thing as no thing. There's always been a something. The idea that it came from a Big Bang is just a theory within science. There are other theories within cosmology.
So I'm sorry, but is everyone trying to dispute that there was a beginning, and because of that beginning there has to be a cause? Is that what you're trying to dispute? As I heard someone else talk about cyclic notions and whether that's dispute in expansion. It actually doesn't dispute it or contradict it. It actually ties together, because yes, we understand that the universe it started like 13.8 billion years ago. Expansion is what's speeding up and accelerating, and will keep expanding forever. What does this mean? It means that the universe has a beginning, because we can't count backwards from now infinity. Like it's finite. So cyclic view. Yes, we expand now, but one day expansion stops, reverses, collapses, bounces back, and starts again.
Those are only.
This
You're
doesn't
still only using
dispute it.
finite. You're still only using finite notions. You're not taking into account infinite notions of the cosmos. You're just looking at it from a finite lens of the beginning of our universe.
Yes, because we can observe the finite universe. We can't really much observe the infinite universe because it acts differently, and you should know.
You see where somebody's ego comes into play when there must be a creation, and we cannot say that it's always been what it is, and that would be an infinite notion to say that it's always been what it is. It is a longing for purpose, and that purpose is justified by a subjective reality.
And
but Dinah,
what
this
I
is what
would
I'm
say is that logic.
Dinah, hold on. This would what I would say, right? We don't know how the universe is going to end, or even if it will end, right? It could be cyclical, like big bounces. It can rip itself apart. We just don't know yet. You see what I'm saying? So to say that, you know, because the universe had some sort of beginning, we don't even know, number one, if it was even a finite beginning, because it could just be a series of bangs and crunches. Or number two, let's say we give it to you and it did have some sort of finite beginning, right? That doesn't necessarily point to a God outside of space and time that did it.
But the thing is, science, philosophy, and everything in between backs up the notion that the universe has a cause, and energy, time, matter, and all of that. Yes, we don't know the beginning of the Big Bang, but we know the aftermath. And we do understand that this is when time, matter, and space all started coexisting within.
So yeah, and at least our but the way that we understand it. But Dinah, that doesn't again, like,
because I want to also address the cyclic models.
I got you. What I'm saying is that the even if we were to give you to that it had some sort of cause, right? That cause doesn't necessarily need to be some sort of agent that made it from outside of space and time.
So the cause actually has to be outside space, time, and matter to create.
What does outside space, time, and matter even mean? What does that mean?
So the cause is God. That's
it means
who
it doesn't exist.
Right,
so,
but
so
Dinah, hold on, because
pause me real quick.
Pause me real quick. I think you think that you're answering my question, but you didn't actually answer the question. I'm asking you, when you say it has to be outside of space, time, and matter, what does that actually mean? Because everything that we know, everything that exists has time, space, and matter. So when you say outside of it, you're basically saying it's outside of reality, which means it's not real. So outside time, space, and matter, what would that mean?
Okay, so I'm gonna break it down for you in a premise. Actually, I can use syllogism. Okay, so my what I'm trying to relate to you is the logic that we attest to. So if something has a beginning, it has a cause. The universe has a beginning, therefore
it
the
has
universe has a cause.
We've all heard this,
right?
But even if we give it to you, right, the cause does not necessarily need to be an agent outside of space and time, because space and time doesn't even make sense in my worldview. What does that mean?
Not to mention, nothingness never has not existed. There's never been a no thing. There's always been a something within the cosmos. There's never been a no thing. What we call no thing is actually just us saying that the blackness is no thing. But when we look at, dark matter and we look at other things, there's always been a something going on within the universe.
Wait. But dark matter actually hurts your point, though.
Because I am going to forget.
He said dark matter, but you said if it doesn't exist within space, time, and matter, it doesn't exist. So that would hurt your point. I don't get why you brought that up.
Dark matter does exist. We just can't.
Can I interject? Yeah, exactly. It doesn't come into the physical part.
It's still a something.
As soon as it interacts with any positive matter.
Everybody pause. Let Dinah get her bars off. Go ahead, Dinah. What were you saying?
Babe, and I will reference you, and it's predated till now. I'll even give you the latest paper, which is in 2003. I'll give you the BGB, Ethereum, everything. So please just bear with me, okay? So it's a universally accepted and self-evident theory. It's a scientific fact. Okay, this is also the principle of causality, the foundation of all science, reason, and everyday life. It was ex nihilo says that nothing comes from nothing. We have zero observed exceptions in all history, science, and experience. So if this was false, science itself would collapse, because science assumes things to have causes, right? So some objections are like, oh, what about like quantum particles, because they pop into existence without a cause? No, they come from a quantum vacuum, which is not nothing. It's a sea of energy and fields governed by laws. So the thing you guys saying, the universe is you guys saying the universe is eternal, or that it just popped into existence, is not a logic that we conform to.
But no one said that, though.
Can I make a point real quick?
Hold on, Larry.
Can I make a point real quick? It's not even my argument.
I got you, Larry.
Just to help out Dynite.
I got you, Larry. Give me a second real quick. But Dynite, sure. No one here said that. That certainly wasn't my argument. I didn't say that the universe just popped into existence out of nowhere. I don't think nothingness ever existed. There always had to be something, right? From what we know now, our models show that the universe expanded from the hot dense state to singularity, and we don't know what that was because we can't explain it. Our physics of space-time break down at that point. We just can't explain what that is. So what I'm saying is that doesn't mean that it popped up out of nowhere. Hold on, Dynite. So something happened for space-time to expand, right? No one denies that, right? We're not saying that there was no cause. There was some sort of cause. What I'm trying to say is that when you attribute that cause to some sort of supernatural being or agent outside of space and time, how do we even get there? That's a logical leap that we can't make at this point.
Can I help Dynite real quick?
What I'm trying to tell you is this is not a special pleading case where I'm making up rules for something that I'm saying that these rules, there's rules for this, but for this it's outside the rules. I'm literally using the logic that science applies. So God does not have a beginning. So therefore, God has to be the creator. You
have to show that a God exists first. You're just saying that God doesn't have a beginning. Okay, so you have to show one exists first.
Okay, so one thing I'm going to use is the BGV theorem. So this is within physics. This is the second law of thermodynamics. What it states is that let me just find it.
Can I help Dynite now, or
go ahead.
Can I help her answer a question? So you had asked her, I don't know what that means when you say that God exists outside of time and space. So I think all that she's trying to say is that the properties of God, they're not physical properties, they're not dependent on location or temporal duration, right? Those are things that us human beings, right? We're confined to those things, but God isn't.
Okay, so
that's all she's trying to say.
But you will have to show that actually is a thing first. How do we do that?
Well, I think what she was trying to do is
I'm just trying to clarify. That's not my argument, by the way.
No, I got you. I get that point. What I'm trying to say is like I understand what you're saying now. The only question I have is how do we actually get to the point of showing that's even a thing? You see what I mean?
Right. Well, I guess
that's not your argument, though.
If it was me, what I would argue is that if you were to look, I get what you're saying when you're saying the first moments when time, space, and matter come into existence, that time breaks down. I get what you're saying, but if you were to rewind the clock all the way to the very beginning, it seems like most scientists agree, and I'm not appealing to, I guess, a collective agreement, but it seems like the science tends to agree that before the universe comes into existence, there's not anything, right? When I say not anything, I mean nothing. Not anything.
I don't know.
So it stands to reason that whatever brings the universe into creation has to be outside the universe. And I think that's the argument she's trying to make.
That's not what they claim.
So, guys, just let me be.
I'll let you. Give me a second. No, I'll let you. The one thing I would say to Larry is that that's what Satan was saying as well. That's not really what they claim. It's really just, the hot dead state. They can't really explain what that is yet. But Diana, I'm gonna let you go. Tyler, you can come in at any moment. Tyler is right here, guys. He's on the YouTube. He's also going to join on the panel. But Diana, go ahead.
So yes. So again, this is not a theory, not a philosophy, not a hypothesis. It's one of the most proven, tested, and unbreakable laws in all of science. It governs everything, including engines, biology, chemistry, stars, the whole universe. So the fact is, in a closed, isolated system, usable energy always decreases. Disorder, entropy, always increases. So if the universe was eternal, energy would have run out long time ago. So so that would have meant that the universe has no beginning. So that completely cancels it out. I'm going to also break down what that means.
Dinah, can you stop there and have them respond to that? That's actually a good point. So she's talking about entropy, right?
Yeah.
So if the universe was eternal, we would have run out of energy by now. So can you guys respond to that? That's
How do you know that?
Do you want me to explain the closed system, the isolated, the open system, and then you can go?
Give me a second. Tyler, you can talk in a second. Give me a moment. The first question I would ask is if it said if the universe was eternal, we were run out of energy already. Number one, how do you know that? Because energy itself could be eternal. But number two, I would also hold on. Number two, I would also say that when it comes to the universe, right, we don't know if it's a closed system or not. So we're just kind of assuming that it is. Tyler, what did you want to say?
Well, I was going to ask, who in here believes the Bible? Just curious. Anybody?
This might get derailed.
Yeah, you're just pivoting now.
So yeah.
Well, no, I was just going to say,
somebody says.
I think Tyler is actually a Christian. That's why he's asking. Tyler, you're a Christian. That's why you're asking who believes in the Bible.
Yeah, well, I'm not a religious Christian, but I was going to say, if anybody in here believes the Bible, Genesis 1 debunks everything that she's saying.
Not a physical account, man.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Genesis is not a
Genesis 1
I gotta drop. Thanks for having me up, bro.
Hey, no
By
problem.
the way, guys, I am Muslim. I believe in the one true God, Allah. I believe in that one.
Allah's statement. I could go on all day about that.
Here we go.
I respect your beliefs and what you believe in, so it's okay.
I mean, I could point out the fruits of the devil.
Okay, Danica could go ahead and complete what you're saying.
So you said that we don't know if the universe is isolated or closed system. If you add the sun, the earth, and space, and how the energy in which the sun secretes and how much we use it and everything, yes, the universe, the observable universe, acts in a open closed system way. What does this mean? This means that it can receive energy.
That's
and
not what the Quran says, though.
Hold on.
Let her go, Tyler.
We can talk. Why? So what does this mean? This means that we can receive energy and export waste heat disorder. So local order increases as long as the total disorder of the large whole system increases. So the sun's energy, that comes to Earth, majority of that waste goes back into space. That's where the disorder is, right? So all of this is measured. It's a second law that applies within the universe, and this law states that
this is all nice and well. This is all nice and well. How does this get us to a God?
Okay.
Can I get you to God? Can I speak?
So this law states everything that I've just broken down for you. I've used physics, I've used maths, I've used science, I've used philosophy. If you're applying that logic says that everything that has a beginning has a cause.
Again, Dynite, everything that that you're saying, right? We already said that everything that the universe had a cause for the expansion of space time. No one denied that. The thing is that you're attributing that cause to some being, some agent outside of space and time, and we cannot make that leap yet because we do not have any evidence that that's even a thing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, can I speak?
Go ahead, Theophilosophical.
Yeah, I'm not a Muslim. I'm a Christian, but what she's arguing is the Kalam, basically. So the idea is if the universe is defined of all space, time, and matter, and if that began, and if that had a cause, and whatever cause, it can't be made of, it can't take up space, can't be made of matter, and it can't be it would be spaceless, timeless, immaterial, and immensely powerful. And that's exactly like, that's the type of thing God is. So that's how you would bridge over to God.
God doesn't take up space?
No, God does not take up space. He's spaceless.
God doesn't use time?
Outside.
No, he's outside of time.
If he's outside of time, how does he create?
Because
Because he's
the
outside.
time is instantiated at the moment of creation, not before.
So there was no before creation?
Not in a temporal sense.
What does that mean?
It means time.
It means that God exists. The way philosophers break it down is God exists timelessly, sans creation, and he enters into time at the moment of creation.
So
there
he
is no
can't-
before in a temporal sense.
So he doesn't do anything?
I'm not sure. That's just kind of left open. Not creatively.
He doesn't do anything creatively? What does that mean?
No,
He's probably designing Earth.
right?
Pause. Everybody pause, because I'm trying to understand this.
Well, there's
So
there's
we're
no
saying-
there's no creative act.
Right.
You know, when he creates
there's no
the
creative
universe.
act. So there's no creative
What's that?
act. So before creating the universe, he was doing nothing?
He wasn't creating, because when he creates, that's when the universe is instantiated.
So before that, he
and
was
that's
doing
the
nothing?
moment of time. First moment of time.
He might have been.
No,
he might have been
before-
creating before
So
that.
before the
before that, he was doing nothing?
Designing.
He was designing? Designing takes time.
Designing Earth.
Can I answer,
Yeah.
please?
Design takes time.
No. The designing of Earth is the creative act. So he's not creating.
So he was doing nothing before he created?
No.
Well,
he
I mean,
was.
it's outside of the scope of
Before
the.
creation, he
Nobody
was.
knows. I mean, I can't tell
Nobody
you
knows.
what he
Gotcha.
was doing.
Gotcha. No,
But
nobody
he
knows.
wasn't creating.
I got you. Nobody knows. So how do we show that this is
Yeah,
even a thing?
quickly.
How do we know how to show that this
Well,
exists in the first place?
Well,
Can I
originally
quickly, get
the
that?
point
Someone
was
said special
if the
pleading as well.
Everybody
Can I
slow
get
down.
that?
I need everybody to talk one at a time. Give me a second, Dinah. You've been up for a while. All right. So the question then becomes, because I understand everything that y'all said, right? The question becomes, how do we show that this is even a thing in the first place?
Okay, either the universe had a cause or it doesn't.
Okay,
so if it did,
so Theo, this is what I've already said before multiple times. I can go ahead and accept that the universe had some sort of cause, but then you would have to show that the cause is what you're saying, and there's no way to do that.
I just tried to. So if the universe is all space, time, and matter, then whatever caused it can't be space, time, or matter.
How do you know that?
It's got to be immaterial, spaceless, and timeless.
How do you know that?
And immensely powerful.
How do you know that?
Because
matter can't cause itself. Space can't cause itself.
But
time can't cause itself.
Theo, how do you what I'm asking everybody is that what we're saying is that we're saying that these things can't create themselves, but we're explaining it in the way that we understand what space, time, and matter is. Y'all do understand that when it gets to the Big Bang, our concepts of space, time, and matter break down at that point. We can't explain it. So that would seem to necessitate that it is something, which means that it doesn't have to be what you're saying. It could be a natural process that we simply can't explain yet. How do you know that's not the answer and not what you say?
Okay, if it's a natural process, it can't be made of matter, space, or time.
It can't be made of matter, space, or time that we understand.
So it's got to
or
be a
can explain.
supernatural
Hold on,
thing.
Theo. It cannot be space, time, or matter that we could explain or understand with our current form of physics yet. That doesn't mean that it cannot be explained.
Well, what I'm saying is those things can't cause themselves. So whatever the cause is, let's say you don't want to say it's God, it still can't be made of matter. It can't take up space, and it can't be in time, because all those things come into being with the universe.
Theo, what I'm saying
and that
is
sounds like God, unless you have another candidate.
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on, Tyler. Theo, what I'm saying is that the way that that you understand what space, time, and matter to be, yeah, sure, it possibly couldn't have been those things. That doesn't mean that there's another form of physics that we simply do not understand yet. That's what I'm saying.
What if I think that's not matter, like energy and
Let
physical.
everyone speak. Could I speak now, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going
I'm
to
sorry.
make you understand in the possible way. So we're not applying another physics or another argument. We're still following the argument. So the argument is that
everything that had the beginning had a cause. You keep repeating yourself. I get that. The question is.
One second.
The question. Hold on, Dinah. The question is your attributation of what you think the cause is. That's what the debate is about. And the thing is, what I'm saying is that you're saying that all y'all are saying that is this thing that has will outside of space and time, that's timeless spaces, intemporal, could create time, but doesn't need to be in time for some odd reason. There's no way to show any of this is true.
But
That's
this
what I'm
is
trying
a
to say.
universal rule. It's 100%
Mostly,
proven. There's no exceptions to it.
Go ahead, Kat.
So,
Go ahead.
May I provide a different model? And I'm going to use, since you're atheist, I'm going to use Advaita Vedanta.
I got it.
Advaita Vedanta, Brahman is the ultimate reality. Brahman plays with itself and creates the Trimurti. The Trimurti is creation, preservation, and destruction. Natural functions of that oneness, of that energy. Everything is Brahman, including you, including everything, birds, bees, trees, all of it is Brahman. All of it is that one energy. Now, your soul is a fragment of that one energy that moves through different cyclic points of time, and it's migratory through death, rebirth, and reincarnation. So when it gets to a certain level of awareness, it goes, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am that which is and always has been. And after that realization comes death, which, the Advaita Vedantin would say that there's moksha, and moksha is the escape from cyclic existence. Now, this is a model that is, everything is the same one energy, and the cycles don't really matter as long as the soul gets to a ripening that it realizes it is what it has always been, and it is what it always has been. And that's a problem that doesn't sit well with people who want a purpose and who want to understand the nature of reality, because there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of attachment to what defines things. And that is because that's just always going to be with every individual soul. Every individual soul is going to have a subjective reality and be in a certain place in their mind, no matter what. That oneness experiences itself through infinite ways. And that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? And there you go.
Kat, can you pause for me really quickly, because there are people who haven't been able to chime in yet, and I do apologize. All right, Coda has been able to chime in a lot, and Tyler hasn't either. Tyler, I do apologize. I know you've been patient. And User, am I going to call you User? Or am I going to call you something else?
No, you can go by User.
All right, User. Yeah, User hasn't been able to chime in yet at all yet. So Theo, Dynite, and Larry, please just pause me real quick. I do want Retro, User, and Tyler to chime in.
All good.
User, I didn't get your beliefs yet, and y'all, just to warn y'all, wifey is giving me a hard stop at 20 minutes. So if y'all see the entire thing goes down in 20 minutes, that's why. I do apologize. But User, go ahead and give me your position, if you're a believer or not, and are you over 18?
Yes, I'm over 18 and I'm Catholic. Well, I am 18, so I'm Catholic.
Catholic. All right. And Coda, I'm not sure if that's the Orthodox symbol or the cross. Which one is that? Are you over 18 and you're a Christian as well, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm over 18 and I'm a Christian. Yeah.
Christian. All right. Yeah, that, because I saw the T. I wasn't sure if that was Orthodox or not. And Tyler, he's over 18. He's also a Christian. All right. User, just really quickly, what do you think is a good reason for me to believe in a God?
Well, I mean, there's three arguments I usually go off of. They're all formal premises. It might take up a little bit of time.
All right.
We're already going off
pause.
kind of the...
Gotcha. Pause.
Yeah.
Coda, how about you? What do you think is a good reason to believe in a God?
I would point to the transcendentals and say that it's necessary for it to be a mind.
Gotcha. Tyler, how about you? You there, Tyler? Tyler.
Uh-oh, can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah,
Hello?
what would you say? What's the good reason to believe in a God?
I just want you to exist with us in heaven, man, and see the light.
I mean, that's I guess.
I want you to exist after death.
I mean, I wouldn't mind living 1,000 years, but after year 525, I'm probably gonna get sick of living. I ain't gonna lie.
No, I can try to point you there, man, best I can. I won't take up a lot of time.
No, not a problem. All right, so as a matter of fact, y'all, be patient with me because Tyler was here for a while, and I want to give him that chance. All right, User and Coda, I'm gonna get back to y'all really quickly, but Tyler has been here for almost an hour, and I haven't gotten to him yet. So let me be fair to him and let me talk to him really quick. All right, I appreciate y'all though. Tyler, yeah, so you said that hey, what's going on, Godwin? You said that you want me to exist in heaven with you. I mean, that sounds nice. I'm not gonna sit here and say that sounds, terrible and everything like that. I understand that Christians, for a lot of Christians, this is an existential thing, right? You want all of us to not suffer in hell and be with y'all forever in heaven. All that is good and well. Cool. what happens in heaven?
Well, it's just I just say it's eternal life. There's an eternal, infinite things that we can do. We're in a finite existence, so we can't really conceive exactly what we'll be doing in heaven, but it'll be eternal things to do that will never run out. But let me ask you this: do you want hard logical proof before you believe?
I would say, yeah. I mean, everybody, as far as I understand, needs some sort of good evidence to believe something, right? Like I always use this example. If I were to tell you I have $1 billion in the Bahamas, follow me there and I'll give you $20 million, quit your job. Are you going to quit your job tomorrow and follow me to Bahamas just because I said I have $1 billion?
Yeah, no, I get that. So the unfortunate thing is God himself, you won't be able to see the evidence if you don't first choose to believe or ask him to show you with the heart of wanting to believe. If you want logical evidence, like hard evidence first, it just unfortunately you will not see it, and it's the unfortunate thing here.
You don't see how that's kind of ridiculous though, like because this is the same guy that's saying that he wants a relationship with us. Well, you say you're a Bible believer, so that's what I'm going off of. This is the same like theology that says that God wants a relationship with us. So if he does, why not just show himself unambiguously to everybody? Give everybody give everybody the same experience that he gave to Paul. Why not do that?
So I can't think exactly like him, but that's what he wants for reasons we can't understand. And like when you think, so the thing with Christianity and believing and all that and everything, nothing bad really comes out of it. Like we'll just say you believe, but actually we don't go to heaven. You still got the same result as if you didn't believe. So believing in all that, you still don't get anything bad out of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't get anything bad out of being an atheist either. I would say this because that's kind of Pascal's wager, right? Because according to the Muslims, you're on your way to hell too, and according to some Hindu traditions, you're also on your way to hell. And according to well, at least according to African traditional religion, hell doesn't exist. It's just that, you guys are going to be with your ancestors and we're going to be with ours. So it's that I mean, I'd rather that, tell you the truth. I'd rather be in the ancestral plane with the ancestors. You feel me? But so like there are different versions of this. It's kind of Pascal to say that, if you don't believe in the way yeah, exactly. So you see what I mean, right? Like we will have to show that Christianity is the right one or Islam is the right one or et cetera, et cetera.
So you really gotta study and understand each religion to kind of see which one brings the best fruits or like the best life. If you really understand Islam versus Christianity, I'll just use those two. One of them brings destruction and the other one brings a life without sin and issues in your life. So like there's certain things. Yeah.
How do you explain colonialism?
What's colonialism?
How do you explain slavery in the Bible?
Like Tyler, like colonialism, like the reason why I'm a black person that lives on this side of the planet, you know that history, right?
Yeah, but you mean like white people like using you guys as slaves or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. They like the reason why the majority of Africa is Christian now is literally because of colonialism. Like their ancient traditions were beaten and enslaved out of them.
Yeah, but you got to think about right now, if you ask any Christian if they want a slave, they will say no. But if you go to a Muslim country, they currently have black people as slaves. Like right now, they have slaves. But if you find it, you won't find a Christian that wants a slave. You will not find one that actually wants a slave.
Are you sure about that?
That's not really a good argument.
I'm sorry, guys. Pause. Sorry, guys. Pause real quick. Tyler, are you sure about that? Because there's been have you seen the Christian nationalist pastors and what they've been saying about the black church?
So if you claim to be Christian but you want to be a slave, you're a Christian by name. You're not a genuine believer and follower of Christ.
I don't know, man. That's kind of no true Scotsman, because do you understand how the Southern Baptist Church became the Southern Baptist Church, right?
Well, I'm not a very religious man. but I am of the flock of Jesus.
We do know that scriptures promote the violence. They promote.
Can I chime in? Can I?
You guys can chime in. Just give me a second because Tyler has been here for a while. He hasn't been
No,
able to
go ahead. I want to hear what they want to say.
Okay,
go ahead, guys.
He's letting you guys go. All right, so who
No,
was first?
Can I go? I'm trying to say the acts of a few sinners does not define the act of the entire belief. Oh, what's up, bro? The acts of a few sinners does not define the entire belief system itself.
Yeah, user, I agree with that, right? I do agree that the acts of a few doesn't explain everything, but that's the reason why I brought it up, because he said when you look at the fruits of Islam, it's nothing but destruction. But when I look at the history of Christianity, the entire reason I speak English right now is because of that history, right? So it's because of slavery and colonialism, and that was done by Christians. So we can't just kind of like, denounce or denigrate another religion without looking at ourselves. The history of religion is messy.
And the scriptures.
It's very, very messy.
Well.
And I'm not saying that Islam is perfect too, because like there's a lot of racism in the Arab world. Let's just put it out there, right? So it's not perfect, but I'm just saying like we can. Like people can point fingers at each other all the time. I got you, Dinah. People can point fingers at each other all the time. You see what I'm saying, user? But Tyler, let me get back to you.
I don't think this is a valid argument.
Yeah. So so Tyler, let's go ahead and continue. I get what you're saying. In modern days, most people wouldn't want any slaves, even in Islam. I know that you're going to bring up Libya and stuff like that, and Mauritania, who didn't ban slavery until the 1980s. Yeah, sure. Like I get that. There's a lot of issues in the Muslim world, right? I'm pretty sure even Muslims will tell you there's a lot of issues there. But that doesn't I don't think that means that Islam itself is evil or Christianity itself is evil. Humans have a messy history. You see what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, the reason why I'm not Christian, or I don't think that black people should be Christian, is because it was brought to us by enslavement. Right, that's number one. If God wanted us to be Christian, how come He just didn't send Jesus? Just send Jesus to Africa.
Well, it's because He chose Israel and the Middle East to start everything for reasons we can't see or understand.
Yeah, He's racist.
So may I chime in?
He hasn't chosen people. He's racist.
That's
Yahweh's racist, y'all.
That's false again.
Yahweh's
He's
racist.
He's allowed to choose though. He could see what we can't see.
No, Yahweh's racist, y'all. He hasn't chosen people. That's what everybody's racist.
His name's not Yahweh. That's a false name, man. Yahweh. That's a name on a satanic star. It's a false name. His name's not Yahweh.
No, he's racist.
It's crazy because you're
going to add.
Hold on, but that's a false. But that's a false equivalency, because you can also say that atheism also helped out with eugenics, and because of eugenics, they were going to go ahead and actually support racism. So just because I can go ahead and take an ideology from here and make it into something that I want to, doesn't negate the truth of the actual theology itself.
I would agree, right? But there's several issues. Hold on. I would agree, but there's several issues. Number one, hold on. Eugenics wasn't done in the name of atheism. It was done in the name of. It wasn't. It didn't say we're going to be. Hold on. Whose phone is that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dinah, you up, bro. You're allowed to. Okay.
Yeah. The people who are doing eugenics weren't doing eugenics because, we don't believe in a God and religion should be outlawed. That's not what they were doing, right? They were doing eugenics because they wrongfully believe that this is a way to improve the human race and to get rid of black people. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they were doing eugenics. Hold on. I'm not done. But the second thing that that I would say is that I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. So what were you saying? Actually,
pause.
Theo's hand is up. I'm gonna get to Theo real quick.
Wait, question real quick first. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think we literally have like 5 minutes left, and we've strayed very, very, very far from the prompt of giving me a reason for God to acts of sins or whatever. Can we just I feel like we pivoted very hard. Can we try to get back to like a main?
We did pivot very, very, very hard. Let me let Theo ask this question. Theo, go ahead. I do apologize.
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to comment about the no true Scotsman and all that kind of stuff. So, doctors have they have like an ideology that they follow. It's like to do no harm. But we see doctors like take advantage of people. We've seen doctors harm people. We've seen doctors give patients like excess like narcotics to make money on the side. The real question for me is it's not what people do, it's whether they're being consistent with their ideology. So we could look back at like, colonialism and all that. Is colonialism consistent with Christianity? Because Christianity isn't just the people, it's the idea itself. It's a theology, and that's kind of everything flows out of that. And so I would say things like colonialism, slavery, and all that stuff, it's just inconsistent with what Christianity teaches. And I can let everyone else talk if they want to, whatever you want to move on to.
No problem. I would actually disagree, but we do have one person that came up on the stage. Is that Justin again? Justin, did you come back up?
No, that's my
friend. Just.
Oh wait, you were here earlier. My bad.
Yeah, he was earlier. Yeah. All right, y'all. We got a few more minutes left. Let's go ahead and because we did kind of pivot hard to everything else, but we do got a few more minutes. This is what I'll do, guys. I am gonna be back on tomorrow. Everybody come back tomorrow and I'll run a panel. How's that sound, guys? I'm gonna come back. Everybody come back tomorrow and I'll run a panel. If you want to follow me for now and unfollow me later, that's fine. But everybody come back tomorrow and we'll run a panel because we did kind of pivot hard, and I do apologize for that. How's that sound to everybody?
Yeah, that's calm.
Sounds good.
That's good. All right. So I do run these 6:30 to about 8-9 o'clock. If you see me not go on by 6:30, I promise I'll be on by 6:45, somewhere like around that time. And everybody come on back. I have a panel ready, and then we can go ahead and continue the discussion. All right? We all good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
You.
No problem. So guys, follow me now just for you won't miss it. All right. All right, guys. I do appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. Tyler, I'm gonna let you down, but Tyler, come back tomorrow, okay, at 6:30. I'll be here. All right.
Gotcha. All right, man. You have a good night. Bye.
You have a good night. All right, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. Like I said, I was gonna go ahead and end in 20 minutes. We're gonna be back tomorrow. I'm gonna run a panel. Everybody, come on back to tomorrow night. Thank you so much for everybody who was here. I do apologize that we pivoted so hard that we couldn't get to the actual conversation. I do see Raw Soul in the comments. Raw Soul, you could also come back tomorrow. I'm not sure if you're following me though, Raw Soul. If you're not, go ahead and follow me now and come back tomorrow so you can go ahead and get on the panel tomorrow. All right. I'll try to get Coco up here too, because I know you and Coco go back and forth a lot. I'll try to get Coco here so you guys can go ahead and go back and forth like you do. I'll try to get Black Atheist Rants as well, so you guys can discuss as well. But once again, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Skeptical, thank you so much. Shout out to you. Come back tomorrow as well, Skeptical. I definitely want you on the panel. So we're gonna go ahead and end off the night, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. Everybody, be soft, be secure, be affectionate, be wise, be flexible, be thoughtful. Always be soft. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much.